Chapter 1075. Long Yu and the Saint Emperor were both on high alert. They were constantly on guard against any possible attacks from the other party. However, more and more Bone Race clansmen appeared around them. When there were thousands of them, it was obvious that they had surrounded them. However, none of them showed any hostility towards Long Yu and the Holy Emperor. Finally, as more and more of them gathered, a royal Bone Race clansman at the level of a 4-star emperor walked out of the shadows and approached Long Yu. He seemed to be trying to communicate with Long Yu from a distance. Long Yu felt a strange mental fluctuation, but Long Yu couldn't understand what the other was trying to say. At this time, Void Dragon Blade's little void sent a divine thought to Long Yu. I can understand what he's trying to say. He communicates through mental fluctuations. This kind of communication is very difficult for humans and demon races to understand. Humans and demon races can communicate through words and divine thoughts, but they can't use mental fluctuations. Then what is this royal Bone Race clansman trying to say? Long Yu is interested. He's saying that the Bone Race is facing a true extinction crisis and wants us to protect them. As long as we agree to protect them, they will guide us to a good place. Little Void sent a divine thought. The Bone Race extinction crisis? With a thought, Long Yu knew what the other party was thinking. These Bone Race clansmen had just revealed the news that the demon race experts would come to attack them. Therefore, they had no choice but to ask Long Yu to protect them. Even though Long Yu had killed the royal leader of the Bone Race, they had no choice but to seek protection from Long Yu. This was related to the survival of the entire Bone Race. Ever since the Bone Clan was exterminated by the Human Clan and the Demon Clan, there were still many surviving clans. However, these clans are all dying out day by day. Now, only their last Bone Clan is left, and there are only 300,000 of them left. Little Void continued to convey the message that the royal Bone Race clansmen had expressed. This time, they took the risk to move out, but in the end, they failed to kill the person, and the news was leaked, so they could only seek our protection. Initially, they wanted to kill Qing Feng and the other 4, but the 5 of them met up with the Sovereign Secret Realm demonic beast cultivators that came to rescue them. The Bone Race didn't have enough strength, so they didn't dare to make a move. It's almost certain that the news would leak out. Since the Bone Race royal family had said all this, it could be seen that he had some sincerity. Of course, this was a calamity that the other side was facing, so, of course, he had to show some sincerity. Long Yu listened as he narrowed his eyes, relaying the information to the Saint Emperor beside him. At the same time, Long Yu thought that the Bone Race was really ruthless. They wanted to kill Qing Feng and the other 4. If Qing Feng and the other 4 hadn't been taken away by the White Feather Beast clan's elders, they would have died in the hands of the Bone Race. In that case, when facing Long Yu, these Bone Race experts would definitely not have the attitude of asking for protection like they did now. Instead, they would directly besiege him. After all, there were still more than 300,000 Bone Race experts left. If they besieged and killed Long Yu, even if they had to expend a lot of energy, they would be able to exhaust Long Yu to death. No matter how great the price was, they had to bear it, because once Long Yu escaped, the news of their Bone Race's existence would also be leaked, and it would lead to the extermination of their entire clan. Fortunately, Qing Feng and the other 4 weren't killed by the Bone Race. They were taken away by the White Feather Beast clan's elders. Under such circumstances, the Bone Race could only seek protection from Long Yu. If Long Yu was willing to shelter them in his small world, the Bone Race could continue to exist. Otherwise, it could be said that the Bone Race had truly disappeared from this world. Little Sue, tell him that I don't believe him. Long Yu transmitted his divine thought to Little Sue. He really didn't believe him. After all, the Bone Race was a foreign race. Moreover, he had just killed a 5-star Emperor-level Bone Race's royal family member. It was inevitable that they would want to take revenge. Little Sue transmitted his divine thought. Then, Long Yu saw that the 5-star Emperor-level Bone Race's royal family members' 500 bones were all intertwined. They continued to transmit divine thought to him. He said that you're a smart person, and you definitely know that what he said is true. What you need is only the benefits that they can provide. Long Yu, I also feel that he is right. Right now, They are indeed facing the calamity of extermination. If you do not protect them, they will definitely be surrounded and annihilated by the demon race. Moreover, they will not have any place to escape. Little Su transmitted his divine thought. Of course, Long Yu understood this. Long Yu nodded and said to Little Su, "Then ask him what benefits he can give us." Long Yu knew that he didn't have any other choice. If he didn't protect these Bone Race's members, he wouldn't be able to resist the 300,000 Bone Race's members if they risked their lives, even if the strongest among them was a 5-star Emperor-level Bone Race. Therefore, if the other party could give them good benefits, it wouldn't be a problem for Long Yu to protect them. Towards the Bone Race, Long Yu didn't have any enmity. Of course, he also knew that these foreign races weren't anything good. Right now, they needed his help, but one day, when they grew up, they definitely wouldn't be polite to him. However, if Long Yu agreed to protect them, they would all stay in the Nine Serenities realm. They would be completely under Long Yu's control. Even if they were great sovereigns, they wouldn't be a match for Long Yu. As long as they entered the Nine Serenities realm, Long Yu would be able to control them. In such a situation, if the Bone Race wasn't really desperate, they wouldn't be willing. It could be seen that the Bone Race was indeed facing great difficulties. He said, first, he can take us to the last hidden source of divine runes in the ancient ruins of the galaxy. It contains the power of the Nightwalker divine rune. It is because they have comprehended this divine rune that the Bone Race can move so stealthily. Second, he will provide us with some human race and monster race martial skills, pill recipes, and so on. The Bone Race has collected many powerful martial skills and pill recipes from the human race and monster race in the past. They're all ancient pill recipes and martial skills. However, the Bone Race can't cultivate them, so these ancient books are stored in their collection pavilions. Third, the Bone Race doesn't have any cultivation resources, including treasures containing world energy and the power of creation. Otherwise, they wouldn't have fallen to such a state. Therefore, he needs us to provide some world energy for the healthy growth of the Bone Race's juniors. Hearing this, Long Yu squinted his eyes. The third condition isn't for us, is it? There isn't much world energy in the Nine Nether realm. I used it all to build the 9 Nether Heaven Stairs and the Parallel Barrier. However, they only have 300,000 of them, so it shouldn't be a problem to open up a place for them and provide them with some world energy. The entire Shenwu world had over 100 billion cultivators. Cultivating at least 200 times the normal speed on the 9 Nether Heaven Stairs would consume an astronomical amount of world energy. This was the accumulation of the 9 Nether realm for millions of years, and it would all be consumed within a year. Therefore, 300,000 more Bone Race wasn't really a problem. The key was that the other party had to offer attractive enough conditions. The second condition the other party mentioned was to have the ancient pill recipes and martial skills of the human race and monster race. This was something that Long Yu was very interested in. Pill recipes and martial skills were the foundation of a large force. If Long Yu could have some pill recipes and martial skills that surpassed those of normal human race forces, it would be a great asset for him. Tell him to give us some examples and see if there are any martial skills or pill recipes. Long Yu transmitted to Little Void. Soon, Long Yu saw the more than 500 bones of the Bone Race royal family members stretch out. Then, more than a dozen jade slips that exuded an ancient aura appeared in front of him. Of the dozen or so jade slips, 7 contain ancient ingredients, including the pill formula for the rainbow egg. The rest contain archean martial techniques, some of which are even unbounded martial techniques. Long Yu nodded. Of the dozen or so jade slips, there are 7 that contain ancient ingredients, including the pill formula for the rainbow egg. The rest contain archean martial techniques, and even unbounded ones. At this point, Little Void couldn't help but be excited. The unbounded level martial skill was a terrifying existence that even the Dragon Emperor of the 9 Nether Abyss had only learned one move. This martial skill was definitely at the peak of the Beyond Heaven world. If anyone else had said that there were unbounded level martial skills in the Jade Slips, Long Yu would have thought that they were joking. But now that the bone race had such a martial skill, it was quite believable. After all, the bone race was a powerful race that had waged war against the human race and the demon race for a long time in ancient times. It was normal for them to have some secret manuals of the human race. These things were useless to the bone race, but they were very useful to Long Yu. Also, I happen to have 4 rainbow stone eggs refining methods. They were obtained from the remains of the small worlds of the sufferers. They were prepared by the 9 Abyss Dragon Emperor to let the sufferers refine elixirs for him. When Long Yu thought of this, he knew that he couldn't refuse the bone race royal family member's offer. If he could get these resources, it would definitely be a great boost to his strength. At the same time, Long Yu thought about the ancient jade slip he had obtained from the realm of 9 serenities, which recorded the cultivation method of the 4 aspects killing prison. Was it an unbounded level of martial skill? But Long Yu quickly rejected this idea. First of all, Juyo Dragon Emperor shouldn't have failed to cultivate an unbounded level martial skill. Second, the Death Envoy had said that the Juyo Dragon Emperor's unbounded level martial skill had reached the transformative level. It couldn't be the 4 aspects killing prison. This made Long Yu even more curious about the 4 aspects killing prison. What kind of move was it? Of course, now is not the time to think about this. Tell him that I've agreed to protect them, but they'd better listen to me. Otherwise, I have ways to deal with them. Chapter 1076. Of course, little Sue conveyed this message to the Bone Race's royal family, and then passed on the message. He said that the deal is done. We will protect 300,000 members of the Bone Race, and they will hand over the jade slips they collected in ancient times to you one by one. One by one? Long Yu wasn't surprised to hear this, because it was impossible for the other party to hand over everything to him. Otherwise, what if Long Yu went back on his word and annihilated the entire Bone Race? Therefore, it was impossible for the other party to hand over the jade slips to Long Yu all at once, but in batches. As for where the jade slips were usually kept, Long Yu didn't know, but that wasn't something he was concerned about. He only knew that since the other party made such a deal, they definitely had a way to prevent him from obtaining the other jade slips. Even if all the Bone Race members were in the 9 Netherworld, Long Yu wouldn't be able to find where the jade slips were hidden. These jade slips, collected from the ancient war, were the bargaining chips the Bone Race used to negotiate with Long Yu. They had enough bargaining chips to maintain a relationship of mutual benefit with Long Yu. Simply put, they used these jade slips to buy a place to live in the 9 Netherworld. This way, they will be safe and won't be annihilated by the joint forces of the monster race and the human race. And their reward is these jade slips. Of course, Long Yu was very clear about this. He understood the other party's intentions and knew that the 2 sides were in a relationship of mutual benefit. From an emotional point of view, Long Yu had just killed the other party's powerful 5-star emperor, the Bone Race's royal family. Not to mention that in ancient times, the human race and the monster race had joined forces to annihilate the Bone Race. For these Bone Race members, the human race and the monster race were undoubtedly mortal enemies. But now, these remnant clansmen of the Bone Race had no other choice. They could only make a deal with Long Yu, or else they would be annihilated. The remnant clansmen of the Bone Race would disappear completely. If it were any other human or demonic beast race, it would be very difficult for them to agree to the conditions Long Yu had agreed to. First, the Bone Race and Vestigial Race needed a small world, which was at least at the level of the Sovereign Secret Realm. The experts of the Sovereign Secret Realm were much stronger than the Bone Race and the Bone Race. Both sides were not on equal footing. Therefore, negotiations would be extremely disadvantageous for the Bone Race and the Bone Race. Most likely, the other side would be too lazy to waste words with the Bone Race and the Bone Race and the Bone Race and the Bone Race. Long Yu's situation was almost unique. On the other hand, the vast majority of the human race and demon race hated other races. For example, the Bone Race, which had been exterminated in ancient times, was even less likely to cooperate with them. Long Yu was too lazy to think so much about it. For him, as long as there were benefits to be gained, protecting the Bone Race was nothing. The key was that during this period of protection, he would have absolute control and deterrence over the bone race. As long as he did the right thing, the bone race and vestigial race wouldn't cause any problems. He said that while you are protecting the bone race and vestigial race, they will give us a jade slip every year. As for which jade slip, it is up to them. Little Sue continued to convey the bone race and vestigial race's intentions. Tell him that this is not a problem, but if they want to enter the Nine Nether Realm, they must first give me 5 jade slips as a deposit, and then 1 jade slip every year. I can accept this condition. Long Yu expressed his opinion. Little Sue did as he was told. However, he quickly said to Long Yu with some difficulty. He refused. He said that if he gave us 5 jade strips first, we would get too many. That would lower their value, and it would be disadvantageous to them. 5 jade slips, not a single one less. Otherwise, I won't let them enter the Nine Nether Realm to protect the bone race. After all, the bone race is a great enemy of the human race. I'm already taking a huge risk by doing this. Once I'm discovered, I won't be able to survive in the human race and demon race. Long Yu's expression was extremely indifferent. He insisted on this condition because he knew that the bone race and vestigial race had no choice but to listen to his conditions. For the bone race and vestigial race, even if they swarmed and killed Long Yu, it was meaningless. They would still be killed by the human race and demon race. They had nowhere to run. In fact, they only needed to send a sovereign secret realm expert who was proficient in scouting to wipe out the entire bone race and vestigial race in one fell swoop. After all, the overall strength of the bone race and vestigial race was too weak. After such a long time, not only did they not develop, but they also became weaker and weaker due to the lack of resources. If this continued, there would be no need for the human race and demon race to annihilate them. Because of this, they couldn't help but attack Long Yu, who had a small world. Later, they discovered that Long Yu was very strong, and there were many experts in his small world. They didn't dare to forcefully attack Long Yu, and could only compromise with Long Yu, making use of each other. The bone race and vestigial race wanted to use this opportunity to find other opportunities to develop. Regardless of whether they succeeded or not, they had no other choice. Long Yu stared at the bone race royal family member. More than 500 bones were entangled together, showing his extremely conflicted mental state. Long Yu didn't relent, insisting that they hand over 5 jade slips. This put him in a difficult position. If they handed over 5 jade slips, would Long Yu directly kill them? But soon, the bone race royal family member thought it through. 5 jade slips was fine. In any case, they still had many jade slips on them, more than 100. Moreover, the greed of humans was endless. As long as they had jade slips on them, Long Yu wouldn't do anything to them. He agreed. Little Void sent a divine sense message. And I want 4 of the rainbow stone egg pill recipes and an unbounded martial skill jade slip. As for what the unbounded martial skill is, let them decide. Long Yu nodded and said with a smile. The Holy Emperor watched from the side as Long Yu made a deal with the bone race royal family member. She didn't feel anything. She didn't even know who she was. So how could she care about the affairs of the bone race? Since Long Yu could benefit from this, then she would also benefit from it. The remaining forces of the bone race and the remnant race couldn't cause any harm. Not to mention that Long Yu had absolute control over the Nine Nether Realm. The bone race royal family didn't refuse Long Yu's request. They handed over 5 jade slips and teleported to Long Yu through the void. Of the 5 jade slips, 4 contained the 4 pill recipes that Long Yu had requested. Now that the negotiations had reached this point, the bone race royal family couldn't be bothered to haggle with Long Yu. In any case, the jade slips were useless to them. Being able to trade them for the life of the bone race was already the best they could do. Rainbow stone eggs. I have 4 colors: red, black, blue, and white. They can be used to concoct 4 different types of medicinal pills. They're all unbounded medicinal pills, and they're no less effective than the prime circle pill. I just don't know if Liao Lele can concoct unbounded medicinal pills. Long Yu first looked at the 4 jade slips and discovered that the things recorded inside were extremely ancient. Even the pill scripture given by concubine, you did not have any records of the finished pills refined. It could be seen how ancient these things were. Of the 4 stone eggs, the red stone egg could be concocted into the unbounded 8 extreme blood pill. The medicinal effect was to condense the 8 extreme bloodline in one's body and store blood energy. When used in battle, it could at least double one's basic strength. Moreover, the 8 extreme bloodline could be upgraded. At first, one could only open the first extreme bloodline. When one cultivated the second extreme bloodline, one's basic strength would double. When the 8 extreme bloodline was fully opened, one could explode with 8 times the basic strength in battle. The explosive power was terrifying. However, the 8 extreme bloodline was very damaging to one's body. If one's body wasn't strong enough, opening the 8 extreme bloodline was a desperate move. Even Long Yu, who cultivated the Death Realm and had taken the dragon form ancient pill to increase his body strength, wouldn't be able to bear the burden of opening the 8 extreme bloodline. Rather than a medicinal pill, the 8 extreme blood pill was more of a one-time use treasure. Consuming it would increase one's ability by one's own. It had a very special effect, which was why it was so precious. The 8 extreme blood pill could be used by any race, including the human race, the monster race, and even the bone race. The bone race could also give birth to the 8 extreme bloodline and increase their basic strength. However, this pill recipe was useless to the bone race and the remnant race because the rainbow stone egg was extremely rare. With their insignificant force, it was impossible for them to obtain it. As for the fact that Long Yu wanted the pill recipe for the rainbow stone egg, the royal family of the bone race took it to heart. They guessed that Long Yu must have the rainbow stone egg. However, for the bone race, this wasn't useful information. It couldn't solve their predicament, nor could it give them more benefits in the transaction with Long Yu. Long Yu continued to read. The red stone egg could be used to refine the 8 extreme blood pill and condense the 8 extreme bloodline. The other 3 colored stone eggs could also be used to refine similar endless grade pills. Among them, the black stone egg could be used to refine the demonic heaven speed pill. Its effect was to increase the compatibility between a cultivator and the shadow attribute divine text, and the effect was extremely obvious. It was the best elemental compatibility pill in the world. Of all the shadow attribute divine text compatibility pills, the demonic heaven speed pill was the most precious one. Long Yu's compatibility with the shadow attribute divine text had reached the 11th level. If he went one step further, he could reach the 12th level. Chapter 1077. In addition to the red octopole blood pill and the black devil heaven speed pill, Long Yu also had the blue and white rainbow stone eggs. The blue rainbow stone egg could be used to concoct an unbounded medicinal pill called the void travel pill, which corresponded to the devil heaven speed pill. After consuming it, the cultivator's compatibility with space-type divine characters would increase. This was also very useful to the current Long Yu. This was because the void divine rune and space severing divine rune that he had comprehended were both space attribute divine runic powers. As he became more compatible with space attribute divine runes, the effects of Long Yu's usage of these 2 techniques would also increase. The most obvious change was that the distance he could travel through the void would increase. Furthermore, the power of the space-rending death blow would increase, and it would be easier for him to use it with the Duankong Sacred Spring battle weapon. Finally, the white rainbow stone egg could be used to concoct the unbounded holy soul heavenly pill, which was a special medicinal pill that contained boundless power of radiance and light that would constantly heal the cultivator's fleshly body. After consuming the sacred soul heavenly pill, it could at least guarantee that the cultivator would not die for at least 2 hours. Of course, if they encountered an attack that was too strong, then there was nothing they could do. Even the sacred soul heavenly pill could not save them. The longest time limit of the sacred soul heavenly pellet was 2 hours. Within 2 hours, the cultivator who had consumed it would be able to recover from any injuries. It was similar to the undying purple blood but it was much more powerful than the undying purple blood, because after consuming the Sacred Soul Heavenly Pellet, there would be a layer of Sacred Soul Heavenly Screen protecting the cultivator's body, increasing his defense by a lot. The 4 different colors of the rainbow stone egg all had different effects. They were all super unbounded medicinal pills with terrifying effects, and were all legendary treasures. Long Yu flipped through the 4 jade slips and realized that he didn't have many of them. Although he already had the main rainbow stone egg, he didn't have any of the other supplementary materials. At the very least, they didn't exist in the 9 Netherworlds realm. The supplementary ingredients were expensive and would likely be very difficult to procure. Long Yu was a bit puzzled. It seemed that even if Liao Lele could concoct unbounded medicinal pills, he wouldn't be able to concoct 4 of them. He would have to go to the demon folk territory and see if he could get his hands on them. Then, Long Yu glanced at the last jade slip, which recorded an unbounded rank martial skill. Long Yu hadn't stipulated that the bone race would give him an unbounded rank martial skill, but the royal bone race didn't seem to understand the human language. Therefore, the jade slip he had given to Long Yu contained a very powerful unbounded martial skill called Wild Battle Celestial Bodies. Unexpectedly, it was a body refinement martial skill. Warring celestial bodies was a martial skill that constantly tempered one's fleshly body during battle. Furthermore, because it was an unbounded martial skill, there was no limit to how far one's fleshly body could go. An ancient martial skill is indeed extraordinary. Long Yu exclaimed. He couldn't help but read the contents of the jade slip. There was no question that Long Yu had to cultivate wild battle celestial bodies. The cultivation method was very simple. All he had to do was memorize the meridians required to use wild battle celestial bodies, and then fight his enemies. The more intense the battle, the faster he would improve. In fact, if he was facing the pressure of death, he would improve 10 times faster than usual. As long as Berserker Heavenly Body was cultivated to the small success stage, there would always be a layer of Berserker Divine runes protecting the body, and its defense would be extremely strong. Moreover, after cultivating this move to a higher realm, one could even use this layer of Berserker Divine runes to attack the opponent, and so on. Long Yu didn't want to keep an unbounded rank body, refinement martial skill to himself. He wanted to pass it on to everyone he could trust. Of course, now wasn't the time. Long Yu did not intend to pass on the ancient jade slip that recorded the fighting mad celestial body to others. Instead, he intended to keep it with him. After he cultivated the fighting mad celestial body to the small success stage, he could record the cultivation method of the fighting mad celestial body to the small success stage and pass it on to others. Wild Battle Celestial Bodies was a body refinement martial skill that couldn't be cultivated in his free time. If he wanted to improve it, he could only do so through battle. Therefore, Long Yu couldn't cultivate it right now. After checking through the 5 jade slips, he nodded and said to Little Void, "It's about time. Let them come in. The weak go first. As for the royal bone race, he can come in last." Long Yu then activated the 9 nether mark. The world energy of the 9 nether realm formed a portal in front of him. Through this portal, he could be teleported to the 9 nether realm. The place that Long Yu had arranged for the bone race's survivors was in the void of space beneath Shenwu world. He had the bone race's survivors bring along some of the bone race's buildings so that they wouldn't have a place to stay in the 9 nether realm. The bone race naturally agreed. After all, they knew that Long Yu wouldn't let them live together with the natives of the 9 nether realm. They would have to find another place to live. This was exactly what they wanted. The operation to protect the bone race had officially begun. Under the command of the bone race's royal family, groups of bone race clansmen moved into the 9 nether realm with their own bone buildings. Long Yu had set up a relatively wide spatial barrier in the space that he had arranged for the bone race's survivors in the 9 nether realm. The area inside the spatial barrier was about the same size as the ancient ruins, and it was more than enough for the bone race's survivors to survive. However, if the bone race's natives wanted to leave the barrier and go to other places in the 9 nether realm, Long Yu wouldn't allow it. Of course, this didn't matter. For the bone race's natives, the most important thing right now was to find a safe place to live. With the ancient jade slip as a deterrent, they believed that Long Yu wouldn't be willing to harm them. Although they would be under Long Yu's control this way, if they didn't do this, they would have nowhere to go. In the end, they would be killed by the monster race's experts. The relocation of the bone race's natives lasted for about 7 days. More than 300,000 bone race members finally entered the Nine Nether Realm and started a new life. As for the 4-star Emperor Realm Bone Clan Royal, he was indeed the strongest among the Bone Clan. As long as the Bone Clan grew up, they would basically have the martial arts realm of the 2-star Emperor or 3-star Emperor realm. They were different from humans and demonic cultivators, so they were all natural warriors. But on the other hand, although their average strength was high, the difficulty of the bone race's cultivation was much higher than that of the human race and monster race. For example, the bone race's royal family took 100 years to reach the 4-star Emperor realm from the 3-star Emperor realm. The process was extremely difficult. Even if there were enough cultivation resources and heaven and earth spiritual chi, only a small number of relatively talented bone race members will be able to reach the sovereign secret realm. Not to mention, this group of bone race members had no cultivation resources at all. All of them had just reached the 2-star Emperor or 3-star Emperor realm. In the end, Long Yu learned the name of this bone race's royal family member. His name was Yu Wufang. There were a total of 578 bones in his body. His cultivation potential surpassed that of the 5-star Emperor that Long Yu had killed before. Long Yu wanted to ask Yu Wufang why the number of bones in their body was different from what was recorded in the records. But this kind of question, Yu Wufang didn't want to answer, and Long Yu didn't know the answer. After all, the relationship between the two sides was that they were using each other. There was a huge gap between them and the word friend. Yu Wufang didn't want to tell Long Yu anything that wasn't within the scope of the transaction. Long Yu didn't mind. To the bone race, the increase in the number of bones was likely a great secret that concerned the survival of their race. It was normal that the other side didn't want to tell him. In a great world, in every galaxy, there are many divine rune origins. The power of a galaxy's planets comes from these divine rune origins. Yu Wufang transmitted his thoughts to Long Yu. As usual, Little Void received the message and then passed it on. The reason why the galaxy ancient ruins are deathly still is because the divine runic sources have been destroyed. However, our bone race has managed to preserve one last divine runic source. Since we're leaving, we might as well destroy it completely. There is still a great deal of divine runic power in that divine runic source. After you go there, you can comprehend the source-level divine runes within the Nightwalker divine rune. This was the condition they had agreed upon before, so Yu Wufang was willing to tell Long Yu this much. Divine runic source. Long Yu had heard of it a long time ago in Divine Battle World. However, this sort of thing only existed in the galaxy of Beyond Heaven World. Moreover, it was an important location in every galaxy and was heavily guarded. It was impossible for an ordinary person to approach a divine runic source. In Beyond Heaven World, if a cultivator wanted to comprehend the source-level divine runes, it wasn't easy. In order to compete for a spot to enter the divine runic source and comprehend the source-level divine runes, many geniuses of the younger generation would fight to the death. Long Yu had been curious about the divine runic source for a long time. Now, he certainly wanted to take a look, especially if he could comprehend the source-level divine runes. The Nightwalker divine rune would allow him to conceal his tracks even more. However, he couldn't leave for the time being. Even after 7 days had passed, the violent strength that erupted from the 9 underworld prison steel hadn't completely dissipated. Before he could retrieve the 9 underworld prison steel, it was impossible for Long Yu to leave this place. It had to be known that the 9 underworld prison steel was the most mysterious thing he had, and also his greatest trump card. Even the ancient martial skill jade slips that the bone race gave him couldn't compare to the 9 underworld prison steel in terms of value. Long Yu certainly wouldn't casually walk around. Perhaps if he did, the 9 underworld prison steel would disappear. Therefore, Long Yu could only wait here. He didn't know how long he would have to wait. Only after he retrieved the 9 underworld prison steel would he be able to examine the source of the Nightwalker divine rune. In Beyond Heaven World, Long Yu was quietly pondering his path of cultivation. Now, if he wanted to increase his martial arts boundary, he would have to rely on the 3 remaining upper origin resplendent pills. And in order to make the most of these 3 upper origin resplendent pills, he first had to comprehend the 9 underworld prison steel and learn the 3rd secret martial arts skill that Jiuyo Dragon Emperor learned. Chapter 1078. Long Yu guessed that the 9 Nether Dragon Emperor had learned a martial path secret technique. After cultivating it, he could consume any elixir without the effects of the elixir weakening. In fact, Long Yu knew that this weakening effect was due to the absorption ability of human meridians. As long as there was some special method to modify meridians, taking pills would not weaken the effect. Of course, Long Yu didn't know the principle behind it. However, from the fact that Dragon Emperor Jiuyo had left behind 5 upper Yuanhuan pills that were exactly the same, his 3rd secret technique should be able to achieve this effect. Long Yu could not grasp the 9 Hell Tablet for the time being, so he could only spar with the Holy Emperor and try to cultivate Fighting Mad Celestial Body. Unfortunately, Fighting Mad Celestial Body could only cultivate in battle. The higher the fighting spirit, the faster the cultivation speed. When Long Yu sparred with the Holy Emperor, he did not have much fighting spirit at all. This kind of fighting spirit was not something that Long Yu could produce. After the 2 sparred for a full 7 days, Fighting Mad Celestial Body did not make any progress. During this time, the Holy Emperor also observed Fighting Mad Celestial Body's cultivation method and found that it conflicted with the monster race's cultivation method. It was not suitable for monster cultivators, so he did not study Fighting Mad Celestial Body. In any case, the Bone Race and the Vestigial Race still had many endless level martial art jade slips. Who knew when they would give a monster race a monster skill? Anyway, Yu Wufang could not distinguish between human and monster race characters. During these 7 days, Long Yu was constantly worried because the 9 Hell Tablet had not been retrieved. Calculating the days, the monster race would soon send people to this ancient ruin to exterminate the Bone Race and the Vestigial Race. In the 9 Hell Realm, Yu Wufang and the other Bone Race were also very anxious. They did not know what Long Yu was waiting for, but they knew that if they did not leave now, the situation would become very bad. Yu Wufang didn't want to find a shelter only to have it be destroyed by someone else, of course. Long Yu would not tell the Bone Race about the 9 Hell Tablet. He only told them to wait patiently. When the time was right, Long Yu would call Yu Wufang out of the 9 Hell Realm to find the last source of divine runes in the ancient ruin. Fortunately, after 7 days, the violent energy from the 9 Serene prison tablet had almost dissipated. The image of the 9 Serene prison tablet gradually appeared in the dense 9 Serene divine characters. Long Yu approached the 9 Nether prison steel cautiously. He was afraid that he would detonate the 9 Nether prison steel again. The 9 Nether prison steel was too dangerous. It had killed so many sovereign realm experts and monarchs of the Black Qilin demonic race. Not only that, not even their bones were left. Even the weapons on their bodies were corroded. The destruction of the corpses was thorough, but it's a pity that the 9 Hell Tablet is too difficult to control. At least with my current strength, it's impossible for me to control it. It is because of the unknown that Long Yu treated it with the greatest vigilance. As he approached the 9 Hell Tablet, Long Yu felt the dense 9 Hell Divine Runes aura. It was somewhat similar to his own aura. Of course, the 9 Hell Divine Runes that erupted from the 9 Hell Tablet was a Revelation Level 9 Hell Divine Runes. It was a level stronger than Long Yu's 9 Hell Divine Runes. Their auras matched. Long Yu did not cause the 9 Hell Tablet to go berserk. He gradually approached the 9 Hell Tablet. At this time, the 9 Hell Tablet exuded a terrifying and dense aura. It seemed to be very unhappy that someone had dared to attack it. Long Yu didn't know why he had such a feeling, but he always felt that this 9 Hell Tablet seemed to have its own consciousness. This kind of consciousness wasn't like little void's spiritual sense. It could only be said to be a kind of instinct, similar to the consciousness of plants. Finally, when Long Yu approached the Nine Hell Tablet, he heaved a sigh of relief when he did not cause the Nine Hell Tablet to go berserk. In front of the Nine Serene prison steel, Long Yu was as tiny as an ant. One could well imagine how much pressure Long Yu was feeling right now. Then, Long Yu carefully activated the Nine Hell Mark and gradually wrapped the power of the world of the Nine Hell realm around the Nine Hell Tablet. The Nine Hell Tablet did not resist during this process. As the power of the world wrapped the Nine Hell Tablet, Long Yu was almost at his limit. Every time he took the Nine Hell Tablet back, it was a huge project because it consumed too much power of the world. This would cause the entire Nine Hell realm to collapse earlier. However, Long Yu had no choice but to take it back into the Nine Hell realm. His inner world had not yet given birth to the power of the world, so he could not store such a large stone tablet inside. Soon, Long Yu finally took the Nine Hell Tablet back into the void of the Nine Hell realm. He let out a sigh of relief. It was finally done. If the Nine Hell Tablet were to disappear, it would have been a great loss to him. It's about time. I can go find the source of divine runes. Long Yu released the king of the bone race, Yu Wufang, and then had him lead the way. Among the bone race, there was no longer a royal family. The most precious status was a royal member of the bone race like Yu Wufang. He had at least 460 bones in his body. Yu Wufang was the strongest amongst the royal members of the bone race. As for the other royal members of the bone race, there were many adults, all of them at the level of the 3-star emperor. There were also many young royal members who were still very weak. Most of them were in the divine abilities secret realm, and some were only in the heavenly being secret realm. It was these young bone race members that Yu Wufang truly wanted to protect. Come with me. More than 500 bones in Yu Wufang's body curled up and flew in one direction to lead the way. The only one who could communicate with Yu Wufang now was Little Void. Long Yu was very glad that he had reached the unparalleled realm with the Void Spirit Dragon Blade. Because of this, he thought of Consort Yu and a lot of things that had happened before, including things that he did not understand. By the way, Holy Emperor, do you remember the senior Heavenly Thunder Emperor who appeared in the strongest Emperor Realm competition? Long Yu suddenly thought of this person and asked the sage Emperor a question. Heavenly Thunder Emperor, he is one of the ascetics of the Beyond Heaven world. The Ascetics Alliance is a very powerful force in both the human race and the demon race. As for the specifics, I am not too sure. After all, I have never left the Nine Hell realm before. I have only heard the Lushan clan's sovereign secret realm cultivators talk about it. The Holy Emperor said after thinking for a while. It was not convenient to say it before, but it was fine now. The Holy Emperor did not know much anyway. Ascetics Alliance? Hearing this, Long Yu was confused. What was the relationship between the Ascetics Alliance and the Sufferers Alliance? The Heavenly Thunder Emperor was indeed a so-called ascetic from the Beyond Heaven. No wonder his strength far surpassed the Emperor Realm experts of the Shenwu world. But why did the Heavenly Thunder Emperor suddenly disappear? Moreover, why did he cultivate in the Shenwu world for so many years? Could it be that it was for ascetics? Long Yu shook his head. This kind of thing, it was meaningless for him to ponder about it alone. Once he reached the demon race's territory, he could casually find someone to ask, and he would be able to obtain more information. Right now, he and the Holy Emperor were following Yu Wufang towards the last divine rune origin in the ancient ruins. In this period of time, Long Yu was constantly vigilant of his surroundings, lest someone accidentally appear and discover that he was with the remnant of the bone race. That would not be fun. After passing through the void over 100 times, Long Yu followed Yu Wufang to another ancient ruin in the ancient ruins. This ruin was also made of bones, but it was even more dilapidated than the ancient ruin where Yu Wufang and the remnant of the bone race lived. It seemed like there was nothing left. Only the remnant of the bone race knew that there was actually a hidden world here. In these bone race ruins, a supreme elder of the bone race has laid down a powerful illusion array. If a human or monster race member comes here, they will lose their sense of direction and will only be able to wander around the periphery. Only the remnant members of the bone race can step into the center of the bone race ruins and reach the final source of divine runes. Yu Wufang said to Long Yu, "Without my guidance, you will not be able to enter." "I see." Long Yu nodded to show that he understood. As he followed Yu Wufang into the bone race ruin, Long Yu was constantly on guard against the other party. After all, there was an inheritance array of the bone race here. Perhaps the other party wanted to steal the 9 nether rune from Long Yu's body. Of course, the remnant of the bone race were all in the 9 nether rune origin. If Yu Wufang were to attack, Long Yu could instantly exterminate the remnant of the bone race, leaving not a single one alive. Yu Wufang believed that the other party wouldn't be so stupid. Following behind Yu Wufang, Long Yu and the Holy Emperor were both very curious. The two of them had never seen a divine rune origin before. After circling around the ancient ruins for a long time, passing through many seemingly dead ends, Yu Wufang directly passed through them. Only then did Long Yu and the Holy Emperor realize that these were all illusions created by an illusion array. After circling around for nearly an entire day, the three of them finally approached their destination. This was the deepest part of the ancient ruins. For hundreds of millions of years, no human or monster race had ever come here. Only the remnant of the bone race had been able to quietly come here and comprehend the source-level Nightwalker divine rune within the divine rune origin. After arriving at the center of the ruins, the illusion array was no longer able to affect them. What appeared in front of Long Yu and the Holy Emperor was an extremely magnificent scene. They could see that in the center of these skeletal ruins, there was an extremely vast space. In this space, there was a galaxy of dark light that slowly revolved. From this dark galaxy of light, there were bursts of shadow, attribute, divine rune power. This was presumably the power of the Nightwalker divine rune. When Long Yu arrived here, he had an extremely wondrous feeling deep in his heart. It was as if this place was the center of the entire universe, as if everything in the world was born from this divine rune origin. Of course, Long Yu was well aware that this was an illusion. This was because there were many divine rune origins in beyond the sky great world, and each divine rune origin should give off a similar feeling. Chapter 1079. As Long Yu was following Yu Wufang to search for the origin of divine runes, at the edge of the ancient ruins, a group of uninvited guests arrived. They were the monster race experts that had received the news from Qing Feng and the others, and they had sent a small team to investigate. This team had a total of several dozen people, and each of them had hidden skills. In terms of searching, they were very strong. Their goal in coming here was to find the hiding place of the bone race. The bone race was the great enemy of the human race and monster race countless years ago. For so many years, they hadn't appeared again. Now that they suddenly appeared, it naturally attracted the attention of the monster race. For the time being, this news hadn't spread to the human race. But if the monster race couldn't handle it, the human race would definitely join in. The monster race placed the appearance of the bone race in an extremely important position. Thus, the scouting teams they sent were all existences from the ruler's secret realm, and each of them had tyrannical strength. If they knew that the strongest of the bone race was only at the 4-star emperor level, what would they think? Of course, it was impossible for these demonic cultivators to know this. In the ruins of the galaxy, they came to the ancient ruins to investigate, and soon found a trace of clues. In normal times, how could such tyrannical demonic cultivators who were proficient in exploration come to this dead silent place? Now that the professionals had arrived, they quickly discovered the several broken small worlds that the bone race was hiding in. These broken small worlds were scattered around the ancient ruins. There wasn't the slightest heaven and earth spiritual energy or the power of creation within them, but they were still able to provide the bone race with a place to live. In these broken little worlds, they found thousands of bone race clansmen. All of them were 2-star monarchs and 3-star monarchs. There were even a few bone race royalty among them. These bone race experts had stayed behind voluntarily, deliberately to attract the monster race's attention. After all, If all the bone race experts had left with Long Yu, and not a single one was left, the monster race would become suspicious. If they continued to investigate, then Long Yu would likely also be found. But now, with these thousands of bone race clansmen sacrificed and directly killed by the scouting team, the demon race could finally rest assured. Thousands of bone race clansmen fought with their lives on the line, but they couldn't escape the fate of being annihilated. Against a sovereign realm expert of the demonic beast race, they had no way of resisting. In just a few hours, the thousands of bone race clansmen were all dead. Then, the beast cultivators went to other ancient ruins in the galaxy to investigate. There were many ancient ruins in the galaxy, and they would not let go of any one of them. The whole search process would take at least a year to completely search through the galaxy ruins and finally ensure the complete destruction of the bone race. And now, Long Yu and Yu Wufang were near the divine rune source. They didn't know what was happening outside, but the two of them could guess what was happening outside. They knew that for the time being, it would be best if they didn't leave this place. Otherwise, it would be bad if they were discovered by the monster race powerhouses. It just so happens that the night-reading divine rune in this divine rune source isn't very rich, and my bone race is about to leave this place. Long Yu, the night-reading divine rune in this divine rune source is enough for over 100 people to thoroughly comprehend. You can do whatever you want with it. The bone race royalty, Yu Wufang, said to Long Yu. Long Yu nodded. Then I won't be polite. In my small world, there are many talented people who have a good affinity with the shadow attribute divine runes. This night-reading divine rune will be very useful to them. Finding this divine rune source will be extremely helpful in enhancing the overall strength of Long Yu's side. Just this source level night-reading divine rune could increase the concealment ability of those who comprehended it by several times. If Long Yu could thoroughly comprehend this night-reading divine rune and combine it with divine concealment and balance control, then even some lower and middle rulers wouldn't be able to sense his presence. In the Nine Nether Realm, Long Yu had selected over 100 talented geniuses. Most of them came from a northern snow empire, and most of them were elites who had comprehended the Death Divine Rune. Long Yu had these geniuses come out and comprehend the night-reading Divine Rune. He hoped that once their martial arts boundary rose to a certain degree, they would be comparable to powerhouses like Si Yuanbai or Jiaofeng. They would be able to appear and disappear like ghosts, moving through the night without a trace. Of course, Long Yu couldn't guarantee how many of these people would truly rise. He had provided them with a night-reading divine rune source, but whether or not they could comprehend anything from it all depended on themselves. Among these 100 people were Shi Yingwu, Dugu Yijian, Shu Chan, and Yin Huanma. These four had obtained the inheritances of the 9 nether envoys and controlled 4 ancient palaces. They could be considered Long Yu's strongest combat strength right now. Besides these 4, there was also the Demon Emperor. His compatibility with the Umbra attribute Divine Rune had reached the 8th level. This was quite amazing. His comprehension of the night-reading Divine Rune was faster than anyone else's. Of course, no matter who it was, no one could comprehend the night-reading Divine Rune faster than Long Yu. It had to be known that Long Yu had already reached the 11th level of compatibility with the Umbra attribute Divine Rune, just a little bit away from reaching the peak. If I want to avoid the detection of the monster race powerhouses as much as possible, then I can only thoroughly comprehend the night-reading Divine Rune. This process will take about 2 months. As Long Yu thought this, he entered into a state of concentrated cultivation. The night-reading Divine Rune, as a source-level Divine Rune, had an amazing concealment effect. At the very least, if the 4-star Emperor level Yu Wufang were to activate the night-reading Divine Rune to hide himself, then it would be difficult for Long Yu to rely on the 7th level of the balance control secret technique to discover him. Of course, this was only because Long Yu had only cultivated the balance control secret technique to the 7th level. He was just a little bit away from advancing it to the 8th level. The rich heaven and earth aura he needed to do this was more than enough in the 9 nether heavenly stairs. In the past 3 months of cultivation, Long Yu had mainly consolidated his rapidly rising martial arts realm. He had made much progress in other areas. If he returned to the Nine Nether realm to cultivate, Long Yu would definitely pay attention to the cultivation of the balance control secret technique. In addition, I already have the 5th and 6th level of the World Pure Body, but I've only cultivated it to the 4th level. If I have time, I should properly cultivate the World Pure Body. This martial arts secret technique can play a miraculous effect in many situations, so I can't slack off in cultivating it. With this mentality, Long Yu began to comprehend the night-reading divine rune. As for the Saint Emperor, she returned to the 9 nether heavenly stairs and began to cultivate in the 9 nether heavenly stairs and the parallel bounded domain. In any case, she was completely incompatible with the shadow attribute divine rune, so it was impossible for her to comprehend the night-reading divine rune. As for Yu Wufang, after bringing Long Yu over, he was sent back to the 9 nether realm by Long Yu, where the Bone Race's remnant clan gathered. Of course, Long Yu wouldn't let such a dangerous thing stay by his side while he was cultivating. At this time, the Bone Race's remnant clan's environment was filled with sorrow. They knew that the Bone Race's remnant clan's compatriots who had been left behind to attract attention must have all been annihilated. It was precisely because of the sacrifice of their compatriots that they were able to survive in this small human world. Regarding this, Long Yu had some feelings. In the beyond heaven's world, the weak were prey to the strong. The Bone Race had been defeated by the human race and the demon race, so they had fallen to their current situation. This was a great advantage for Long Yu. While Long Yu was cultivating and the experts of the demon race were searching the ruins of the galaxy, far away in the human race's territory, a great change was taking place in the 9 Nether Star River. Due to the failure of Consort Yu's plan to seize the 9 Nether realm, the 9 Nether clan and the Lushan clan had become enemies. After finally returning to the 9 Nether Star River, Consort Yu was unanimously criticized by the major clans of the 9 Nether clan. As the saintess of this generation of the 9 Nether clan, Consort Yu's status was unquestionable. Coupled with her terrifying cultivation and martial arts talent, no one dared to say anything to her. But now the matter was too big. She had even created an area of the ruins of time in the Lushan galaxy, just to take back the 9 Nether realm. Moreover, the 9 Nether realm had not yet returned. Even the fate of the new ruler of the 9 Nether realm, Long Yu, was unknown. This caused many clans and forces who were dissatisfied with Consort Yu to break out at the same time. Moreover, many people proposed to replace Consort Yu's position as the saintess of the 9 Nether clan. Although many of the older generation were dissatisfied with Consort Yu's actions, Consort Yu was, after all, the saintess of the 9 Nether clan. Thus, they persistently suppressed these clamoring voices. But in the end, Consort Yu took the initiative to say that she would no longer be the saintess of the 9 Nether clan. To the entire 9 Nether clan, this was tantamount to a huge earthquake. The existence of the saintess had always been an extremely important status in the 9 Nether clan. But now, Consort Yu had taken the initiative to say that she would no longer be the saintess. This was definitely a huge blow to the people of the 9 Nether clan. On the other hand, many of the clans and forces of the 9 Nether clan quickly proposed many candidates for the position of saintess, starting a new round of competition for the position. But this had nothing to do with Consort Yu and the others. There is also a reason why Consort Yu refused to be the saintess of the 9 Nether clan. The main reason was that when she and the people of the Ghost Shadow tribe finally returned to the 9 Nether clan, they were faced with a wave of criticism. All of them were discussing her failed mission. However, if Consort Yu's mission was successful, no one in the entire 9 Nether clan would criticize her, and her reputation in the 9 Nether clan would rise to a new height. Therefore, Consort Yu was rather disappointed in the 9 Nether clan. Everyone clearly wanted the 9 Nether realm to return, but when her mission failed, everyone was blaming her for carrying out the mission. Chapter 1080. The 9 Nether clan situation made Consort Yu want to leave. Fortunately, as the 9 Nether clan's holy maiden, she had many loyal followers. The most important ones were the Ghost Shadow Tribe's Sovereign Realm experts, including the two greater Sovereign Realm experts, Si Yuan Bai and Jiaofeng. The rest were at least in the lesser Sovereign Realm. In total, there were more than 100 Sovereign Realm experts. Originally, there were many Sovereign Realm experts in the Ghost Shadow Tribe who wanted to follow Consort Yu, but Consort Yu did not agree. She only brought Si Yuan Bai, Jiaofeng, and 100 others, and left the Nine Nether Galaxy quietly without alerting anyone. After leaving the Nine Nether Galaxy, Consort Yu's first destination was the Lushan Galaxy. Long Yu's former senior brother and master are in the Lushan Galaxy. I'm planning to go out and search for Long Yu, but before that I'll naturally bring along his friends in the Lushan Galaxy. This is to prevent the Lushan clan from threatening me. Consort Yu said to Si Yuan Bai and Jiaofeng. Si Yuan Bai and Jiaofeng understood Consort Yu's decision to leave the Nine Nether Galaxy. Jiaofeng said hatefully, "We swear to follow Lady Consort Yu to the death. Those people in the Nine Nether clan are too despicable. If Lady Consort Yu's plan succeeds, they will think of ways to snatch the credit away. Shameless to the extreme." That's right, Lady Consort Yu. If the Nine Nether clan finds out that you obtained 3 fragments of the Divine Ruin in the Nine Nether Galaxy, I'm afraid they will ask you to hand them over. Why don't you just leave? Si Yuan Bai nodded in agreement. The Galaxy of Void was the place where Consort Yu arrived after being thrown out of the Ruins of Time. After searching for a long time in that empty space, Consort Yu finally found 3 fragments that seemed to be the relics of the gods. She then relied on these 3 fragments to finally leave that space. When he came out, he discovered that it was a galaxy in the void, located in the human territory. It was in the void between the 9 Underworld Galaxy and the Lushan Galaxy. There was a barrier of nothingness, so no one would normally come here. Who would have thought that Consort Yu would come here and obtain 3 fragments of the Divine Relic? For Consort Yu, fragments of the Divine Relic were very rare items. She might be able to comprehend something from them. Of course, it was also possible that she might not be able to obtain anything. Everything depended on luck. The crazy self-destruction of the Lushan clan's great ruler, Ji Yuan Dao Yi, was a blessing in disguise for Consort Yu. It was a pity that Long Yu and the entire Nine Nether realm had directly disappeared from the Ruins of Time. The Nine Nether clan now is no longer the Nine Nether clan of 10,000 years ago. According to the historical records, when we first came out of the Nine Nether realm, the Nine Nether tribe united as one. That's why we were able to fight in the Beyond Heaven's world. Now, we have the Nine Nether Galaxy and such a vast territory. As Consort Yu spoke softly, she shook her head slowly. Ever since she was born, she had been elected as the saintess of the Nine Nether clan only because she was in line with the interests of certain people. All along, she had seen too much intrigue. Now, with this incident as an opportunity, she finally had the idea of leaving. It had to be said that with such a talent in martial arts, leaving the Nine Nether clan would definitely be a great loss to the Consort Yu clan. However, the people of the Nine Nether clan were now busy fighting for the position of the new saintess, so they had no time to consider the situation on Consort Yu's side. Consort Yu left quietly. For a short period of time, no one actually noticed her departure. Soon, she entered the Lushan Galaxy with Si Yuan Bai, Jiaofeng, and the others, ready to help Long Yu find Xing Fa, Dao Jingtian, and the Red Emperor. Consort Yu was sure that Long Yu was still alive. After all, the Ruins of Time had only thrown the Nine Nether realm into the void. It had not been able to completely destroy the Nine Nether realm. However, she could not sense where Long Yu was at all. There was still a weak connection between Consort Yu and the Void Spirit Dragonblade. But now, she could not sense the aura of the Void Spirit Dragonblade at all. Either the two sides were too far apart, or Long Yu and the Void Spirit Dragonblade were in a place that shielded their senses. Such a place was extremely common in the Beyond Heaven's world. Consort Yu could not guess which area Long Yu was in. As long as Long Yu is still alive, the Nine Nether realm is in his hands. If the Lushan clan learns about it, I'm afraid that they will use Xing Fa, Dao Jingtian, and the Red Emperor to threaten Long Yu. While the people of the Lushan Galaxy are still unaware of the details, let's bring them out first. Consort, you said to see Yuan Bai and Diaofeng. This kind of thing is easy. Just leave it to the people of our Ghost Shadow Battalion. Lady Consort, you can just wait outside. Si Yuan Bai said respectfully. Let's go together, lest something goes wrong. It's better to end this kind of thing quickly. Consort, you shook her head and insisted on going together. She did not want to encounter any accidents at this time. The three of them joined forces and stepped into the territory of the Lushan Galaxy. Using the power of the space divine characters, they went deeper into the Lushan Galaxy. At this time, Long Yu, of course, did not know about the situation of Consort Yu and the others. He was currently comprehending the night-reading divine character as quickly as possible. The difficulty of comprehending this origin-grade divine character was nothing for Long Yu. This was because he had already comprehended many origin-grade divine characters, and his compatibility with the Shadow Attribute divine characters had reached level 11. As such, his comprehension of the Shadow Attribute divine characters was very fast. In just a dozen some days, Long Yu had absorbed enough power of the divine runes from the source of divine runes, allowing him to comprehend the Nightwalker divine rune to 100%. In other words, in just over 10 days, Long Yu had thoroughly comprehended the origin-grade, night-reading divine character. This speed was much faster than others who used the divine rune crystals to transform their divine runes. Reaching level 11 compatibility with the Shadow Attribute divine characters wasn't a joke. In terms of comprehending the Shadow Attribute divine characters, the effects were extremely significant. After 10 days, Long Yu had completely comprehended the night-reading divine character. With a little bit of balance control, he discovered that his concealment ability had at least doubled. If a lower ruler level cultivator could discover him before, then only a middle ruler level cultivator could discover him now. Of course, there were some cultivators who were particularly good at probing that might be more sensitive and easily discover Long Yu. But even so, it wouldn't be easy. Moreover, Long Yu had nothing to do right now. He directly returned to the Nine Nether Realm and began to concentrate on practicing his secret martial arts technique, preparing to make a breakthrough in his balance control. His balance control was already close to the 8th level. Now that all the heaven and earth spiritual energy in the Nine Nether Realm was gathered in the Nine Nether Sky Stairway, this was undoubtedly an excellent opportunity for him to improve his secret martial arts technique. On the 100th step of the Nine Nether Sky Stairway, the gathering speed of heaven and earth spiritual energy was 10,000 times faster than usual. However, this step could only accommodate 10 people cultivating at the same time. Otherwise, the consumption of heaven and earth spiritual energy would exceed the limit. Currently, on the 100th step of the Nine Nether Sky Stairway, there were 10 people cultivating. They were Liao Lele, Feng Yusen, Man Xan, Chihua, Gu Yixian, Gu Wenshan, Qin Yashuang, and Zisu. On the 99th step of the Nine Nether Sky Stairway, the cultivation speed was 9,800 times faster. It wasn't much faster than the highest level. More importantly, it could accommodate more people. The majority of the people from a Northern Snow Empire were also gathered on the 99th step. Long Yu returned to the Nine Nether Sky Stairway. Naturally, he went straight to the 100th step. He didn't disturb the others who were cultivating and began to absorb the heaven and earth spiritual energy. After 3 months of slow accumulation, in addition to the 2 upper Yuan Huan pills that Long Yu had consumed, he had accumulated enough heaven and earth spiritual energy. Now, only 7 days had passed, and Long Yu had successfully broken through to the 8th level of the balance control secret technique. The peak of the martial path secret technique was the 9th level. Now that Long Yu had broken through to the 8th level of the balance control secret technique, he was only 1 step away from the peak. The effect of the balance control secret technique had transformed once again. Now, with the balance control secret technique combined with the Nightwalker divine text, it is basically impossible for anyone to detect my presence unless they have reached the upper Dominator realm. Moreover, Even if a cultivator at the level of the 6-star Emperor or 7-star Emperor uses the Nightwalker Divine text around me, I can easily detect them. This was the transformation that Long Yu had undergone. The martial path secret technique was a method that could greatly influence a cultivator's fighting style. Even if a martial path secret technique was cultivated to the extreme, it would definitely give the cultivator an absolute advantage in a certain aspect of the battle. Long Yu thought of the Lushan clan and Symbol clan cultivators that cultivated the undying purple blood. Out of all the cultivators he had met, not a single one had reached the 4th level of the undying purple blood. It was clear that the difficulty of cultivating the undying purple blood was extremely high. Most importantly, after reaching the 7th level of the balance control secret technique, there would be a bottleneck. This bottleneck was the most important factor that restricted the advancement of experts in the Sovereign Secret Realm. But for Long Yu, when cultivating balance control secret technique, this bottleneck basically didn't exist. This was a bottleneck on the level of consciousness. Because he had grasped 80% of the 9 nether mark, Long Yu directly crossed over this bottleneck and cultivated balance control secret technique to the 8th level. After succeeding, Long Yu left the 9 nether realm and went outside to investigate the source of divine runes. He discovered that Shi Yingwu, Shu Chan, and the others' comprehension of the source level Nightwalker divine rune wasn't very fast. It would take them another month or so before they could finish comprehending the source level Nightwalker divine rune. As for this source level Nightwalker divine rune, it would also take another month or so before it would dry up. According to the Bone Race royal families Yu Wufang, since they were leaving, it was best to completely exhaust this source-level Nightwalker Divine rune before they left. Otherwise, it would have been a waste. In a situation where Long Yu sent out over 100 people to comprehend the Nightwalker Divine rune, the power within the Nightwalker Divine rune was rapidly being consumed. Long Yu thought that in normal times, those heavily guarded Nightwalker Divine rune sources wouldn't be easy to enter. There was likely an extremely strict limit on the number of people that could enter. Chapter 1081. Long Yu saw that everyone still needed a bit more time to fully grasp the Nightstalker godly script, so he decided to use the remaining time to train in other things. Now that the 9 Hell Prison Steel has stabilized, I should be able to properly study it. In the next month, I should be able to reap some benefits. Long Yu had a lot of things he needed to do, so he didn't have the time. Now that he had a month of free time, he should be able to reap some benefits from the 9 Hell Prison Steel. He still wanted to train the World Pure Physique to the 6th level, but that would take too long. Even if he stayed on the 100th step of the 9 Hell Heaven Stairway for a month of free time, he still wouldn't be able to do that. Even if Long Yu could use all the world's spiritual energy in the 9 Hell world to cultivate the World Pure Physique, that would be equivalent to the 9 Hell world drying up prematurely, which wasn't very beneficial to Long Yu. If possible, Long Yu wanted to see if he could repair the 9 Hell world after he returned to the Beast Race's territory. If it collapsed prematurely, the situation would be very bad. So he decided to study the 9 Hell Prison Steel first. In the 9 Hell world, the soul-destroying power of the Dead Star Spiral was spreading everywhere. In the last 4 months, it had already filled half of the 9 Hell world, and in another 7 to 8 months, it would spread to Shenwu world. The 9 Hell Prison Steel was placed by Long Yu at a place close to Shenwu world, in the middle of Shenwu world and the Bone Race's territory. Long Yu stood in front of the 9 Hell Prison Steel, feeling the eerie aura coming from it. The Revelation Level 9 Hell Script's power made Long Yu fascinated. If he could grasp the Revelation Level 9 Hell Script, his strength would increase by at least 1 level, and he would be able to surpass 1 martial realm to defeat his opponents. With his current strength, he could deal with a 5-star Emperor, and that was his limit. Of course, if he borrowed the power of the 9 Hells Hell Steel, he could even kill a Sovereign Realm expert. Of course, he wouldn't use such a method under normal circumstances. It's a pity that I have to comprehend the 9 Serenity's Prison Steel to the same level as the Joyo Dragon Emperor, if I want to master the Enlightenment Level 9 Serenity's divine script. I've only comprehended 30% to 40% of the Juyo Dragon Emperor's level and obtained the cultivation method of the pure world body from it. Long Yu suppressed his thoughts and started to comprehend the 9 Hell Prison Tablet. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth was slowly absorbed into Long Yu's body. The speed was not fast, but it was still enough for his world pure body to slowly improve. At this moment, what he cared about the most was the information from the 9 Hell Tablet. This information was strange and ancient, as though it was passed down from the ancient times. There were many indescribable and profound sources of energy contained within it. It was a pity that the current Long Yu could only sense a trace of it. In summary, the Juyo Dragon Emperor comprehended 3 things from the 9 Hell Tablet. They're the martial path secret technique, the pure world body, the 3rd secret technique, and Enlightenment Level 9 Serenity's divine script. Now that I've comprehended 80% of the 9 Nether Imprint, I should be able to comprehend the 2nd thing. With the help of the 9 Nether Imprint, Long Yu's comprehension of the 9 Hell Tablet was able to reach the same level as the Juyo Dragon Emperor. This was his advantage. If it was him, he would need several hundred years to reach this level. 1 month passed by quickly. Long Yu continued to comprehend the 9 Serene Prison Steel, and from it, he comprehended the cultivation methods of the 7th, 8th, and 9th levels of the world pure body. Then, it was finally the most crucial part. Long Yu was about to know what the other secret technique that the Juyo Dragon Emperor comprehended from the 9 Hell Tablet was. Dragon Emperor Juyo knew 3 secret martial arts techniques. Among them, balance control wasn't obtained from the Juyo Prison Tablet. Instead, he obtained 2 secret martial arts techniques from the Juyo Prison Tablet. One of them was the pure world body. As for the other one, Long Yu didn't know what it was. However, he guessed that it should be related to the medicinal effects of medicinal pills. Long Yu didn't have the time to cultivate the world-purifying physique for the time being. However, it didn't stop him from continuing to comprehend the 9 Hell Tablet. Just when everyone else had finished comprehending the Nightwalker Divine Text, Long Yu finally made a breakthrough. Devil Dust Heart. Long Yu quickly comprehended the secret martial technique, the 1st level of the Devil Dust Heart. The Devil Dust Heart was the 3rd secret martial technique that the Juyo Dragon Emperor knew. It was also the secret martial technique that the Juyo Dragon Emperor had never told anyone about. The Devil Dust Heart can actually cultivate a 2nd heart in the body. This heart can even contain my own soul. It is equivalent to having a 2nd life. Long Yu knew the effect of the Devil Dust Heart from the 1st level of the Devil Dust Heart. This was undoubtedly an extremely powerful secret martial technique. Cultivating the Devil Dust Heart would create a 2nd heart in the body. As the cultivation of the Devil Dust Heart increased, the special effects would be unlocked more and more. As long as he successfully cultivated the 1st level of the Devil Dust Heart, he could use the Devil Dust Heart to carry out the rebirth of his body. Moreover, the speed was very fast. As long as the Devil Dust Heart was not destroyed, Long Yu would not die. Moreover, what was different from the undying purple blood was that the energy that the Devil Dust Heart needed to carry out the rebirth of the body came directly from the void. It was not like the undying purple blood, which required one to cultivate the power of the undying purple blood. Simply put, the rebirth of the undying purple blood had a very large limit. In a short period of time, it was very difficult to be reborn twice. However, the Devil Dust Heart was different. As long as the space where the Devil Dust Heart was located contained energy, it could allow Long Yu to carry out an unlimited rebirth. It sounds very powerful. However, a single Devil Dust Heart is extremely weak. Although the rebirth speed of my physical body is not slow, my opponent is able to shatter my physical body. Shattering this Devil Dust Heart is not a difficult task. Wanting to use the rebirth of my physical body in battle is too difficult. Long Yu was a bit disappointed, but no matter what, he finally had a method of rebirth. His mortal body was originally incomparably tyrannical And now, with the devil dust heart and warring heavenly body, it was the same as having 3 guaranteed lives. The devil dust heart was a martial arts technique that defied the will of the heavens. It was just that Long Yu didn't know what sort of effects the devil dust heart would have if he cultivated it to the 2nd level. Following this, he didn't have time to study it, because the others had also completely comprehended the Nystalker divine rune. The entire divine rune source didn't contain much strength to begin with. Now that over 100 people had comprehended it, it had finally dried up. Long Yu could feel that within this divine rune source, there was still an unending stream of strength being born. But the speed at which it was born wasn't too fast. With so many people comprehending this strength, this divine rune source should have accumulated for at least 50 years. Yet, it had been completely absorbed by them in 2 months. Is the strength of the divine rune source so precious? Every 50 years, only 100 people can enter and comprehend the divine runes within. Long Yu felt that this was a bit too exaggerated. Luckily, Yu Wufang immediately told him that this was only a special case for the divine rune source, because this was the final divine rune source in this Star River ancient remnant. It didn't have any other divine rune sources to complement it, so its strength was recovering at a very slow pace. If there were at least 10 divine rune sources in a normal Star River ancient remnant, then the recovery speed of these divine rune sources would increase by 10 times. If there were 20 divine rune sources in a Star River ancient remnant, then their recovery speed would increase by 20 times. Because of this, the various races of beyond the heavens' great worlds waged endless wars against each other in order to compete for territory. 10 times isn't too fast. If we calculate it like this, then each divine rune source can only provide 20 cultivators to completely comprehend the divine rune each year. Long Yu was surprised. 20 cultivators every year, that was really too little. It seemed that source-level divine runes were extremely rare existences in the beyond the heavens' great worlds. But in truth, Long Yu didn't think it was so little. This was because he had seen the powerhouses of the Lushan clan, and nearly every single one of them had comprehended source-level divine runes. If each divine rune source only had 20 people every year, then this number wasn't quite right. Are you stupid? The Sage Emperor also came out. He smiled at Long Yu and said, "There isn't much power in the divine rune source, but who said that those who come in to comprehend the divine rune must completely comprehend it before leaving? As long as they comprehend 1% of it, they can come out and use the divine rune crystals to cultivate." As soon as Long Yu heard this, he slapped his head. That's right. Why am I so stupid? This was indeed the case. Generally speaking, the number of people who could comprehend the divine rune source was limited, but it wasn't to the point that there were only 20 people every year. According to what the Sage Emperor said, every cultivator who entered the divine rune source could only comprehend 1% or even 1/1000 of the source-level divine runes. After they came out, they could use the method of converting the divine rune crystals to increase their comprehension of the divine rune. This would greatly reduce the consumption of power in the divine rune source. Like this, each divine rune source had at least tens of thousands of people every year. This was far more than the number of people who entered the divine rune world's 5 Emperors' holy city and entered the 5 Emperors' fantasy world every month. But how many cultivators are there in a galaxy? Even if each divine rune source had 10,000 people every year, there would still be less than 1,000 every month. It would be extremely difficult to fight for all of them. Long Yu sighed with emotion. Although he hadn't been to any galaxy from beyond the heavens' great worlds before, he could guess that in every galaxy, there were more than 10,000 ruler mystic realm powerhouses. In addition to those ownerless small worlds, there were tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of small worlds like the 9 Netherrealm. Just thinking about how many cultivators there were in those worlds was terrifying. The maximum range is 1,000,000 miles. This bone race formation can receive guidance from within 1,000,000 miles and explode on its own. Yu Wufang replied, "Then I'll activate the formation from 1,000,000 miles away." Long Yu had always placed his own life above all else. If he was 1,000,000 miles away, even if he discovered that the explosion of the formation was too strong, he could still think of a way to avoid the power of the formation. Under Yu Wufang's guidance, Long Yu soon left the ruins of the ancient ruins. This place was already 100,000 miles away from the divine rune source, but Long Yu still felt that this wasn't enough. This was because if the divine rune source was destroyed, the movement would be extremely eye-catching. If there were monster race powerhouses searching for something in these ancient ruins, they would certainly notice this change. In order to not be discovered by the monster race powerhouses, Long Yu decided to stay as far away as he could. After he left the illusion array of the ancient ruins, he brought Yu Wufang and the others into the Nine Nether Realm. Then, he activated the Nightwalker Divine Runes and displayed balance control, concealing his aura as much as possible, as well as the aura of the Nine Nether Realms world energy. Long Yu was certain that none of the sovereign monarch-level existences would be able to discover his whereabouts. Even ordinary lower and middle sovereigns wouldn't be able to discover him so easily. He quietly arrived 1,000,000 miles away from the ancient ruins. Then he grasped the pale, white bone and attempted to send the Nightwalker Divine Runes into it. Soon, he felt a trace of the bone race's aura spread out from the pale white bone, rapidly transmitting into the space where the divine rune source was located. Then, a loud explosion erupted from the direction of the divine rune source. Even from 1,000,000 miles away, Long Yu could feel the powerful fluctuations of energy coming from that direction. Under such fluctuations, all traces of him and the bone race's aura would be erased. As for whether the divine rune source was completely destroyed or not, that didn't have much to do with Long Yu. Since Yu Wufang said it could be destroyed, then so be it. In any case, even if the divine rune source still exists, it has no effect on me. The power of deduction can no longer deduce anything about me. Long Yu didn't stay in place for too long. As for the explosion of the bone race's grand array, he was disinclined to look at it. Who hadn't seen fireworks before? Now was the time he needed to fight for time. Long Yu didn't dare to stay here for too long. Soon, Long Yu discovered that leaving as soon as possible was the wisest choice. This was because he had completely concealed his aura. As he moved forward, he saw several ruler mystic realm beast race powerhouses pass by him. These beast race powerhouses were mostly at the lower ruler realm. There's only a single middle ruler realm beast race powerhouse. None of them were able to sense Long Yu's aura. On one hand, Long Yu's concealment methods were too heaven-defying. On the other hand, the majority of the beast race powerhouse's attention had been attracted by the explosion of the Grand Array. They simply didn't have the mind to pay attention to their surroundings. There shouldn't be any danger in the following journey. Everyone has been drawn to the area where the divine rune source exploded, Long Yu thought to himself. He continued to conceal himself as he hurried towards the monster race's territory that Qing Feng had mentioned. This would be a very long journey. Even if Long Yu used void crossing methods, it would still take him at least a month to leave the range of the galaxy ancient ruins. Then, it would take at least 2 more months to reach the demon race's territory. The distance between the two galaxies was also rather large as they traversed the void. If nothing unexpected happened, Long Yu would be able to reach the outermost region of the demon clan's territory, the Iron Wall Galaxy, in 3 months' time. Only by passing through the Iron Wall Galaxy would he be able to reach the Equal Cry Galaxy, where the White Feather Monsters clan was located. After this process, the 1-year time limit in the Nine Nether Realm would definitely be over. In other words, the next time Qing Feng saw Shenwu World in the Nine Nether Realm, it would be basically destroyed. There are still 7 months left. It seems like it's a bit difficult for me to enter the ruler's secret realm in this time. Long Yu was quite disappointed. If he couldn't enter the ruler's secret realm by then, he could only transfer everyone in the divine battle world into his inner world. In his inner world, heaven and earth's spiritual energy wouldn't naturally appear. Therefore, everyone wouldn't be able to cultivate. They wouldn't be able to progress on the martial path. Who knew what the bone race and the vestigial race would think about this, although it was all temporary? What did it mean for a cultivator to be unable to cultivate? It meant that they would lose their faith and everything would become chaotic. Unfortunately, Long Yu didn't have any time to cultivate while he was on his way. In order to reach the monster race's territory as soon as possible, he couldn't stay in the same place for too long. Otherwise, the monster race's experts might be able to track him down. I'll think about it later. When I reach the monster race's territory, I should have some time to cultivate. At the very least, I should reach the 3-star Emperor's realm first. Long Yu made plans in his mind as he flew out of the galaxy ancient ruins. 1 month later, it just so happened that Long Yu had left the ancient ruins of the Star River. It was also at this time that Concubine Yu, who was far away in the human territory, finally sensed a trace of a connection with the Nether Void Dragonblade. This connection was one way. Only Consort Yu could sense the existence of the Nether Void Dragonblade, while Little Void couldn't sense her. This was because the Nether Void Dragonblade was personally refined by Consort Yu, and she had added some special materials into it, which was why she could sense it from so far away. I can sense it. The Nether Void Dragonblade is actually at the monster race's territory. It should have just come out of the galaxy ancient ruins. Consort Yu said to the people behind her in a low voice. So, it's the boundary between the human and monster race's territories. The galaxy ancient ruins are completely silent, blocking all energy fluctuations. No wonder Lady Consort Yu couldn't sense it before. Si Yuanbai respectfully followed behind Consort Yu and said, "In that case, Junior Brother is really not dead yet." Beside Si Yuanbai, a solemn young man in a red cloak suddenly revealed a look of joy. This person turned out to be Long Yu's eldest senior brother under the Red Emperor, Xing Fa. Xing Fa was still the same, wearing the red cloak of the Red Emperor and exuding a murderous aura, but because of the news of Long Yu, even the murderous aura on his body had become a little faint. Dao Jingtian, standing next to Xing Fa, was also a little happy about the news. Yes, he's definitely not dead, but was thrown into the galaxy ancient ruins by the space turbulence. Consort Yu also finally heaved a sigh of relief. She originally guessed that Long Yu was not dead, but in the end, it was just a guess. Although the Long Yu realm would not be destroyed by the space turbulence, who knew where he ended up after being thrown out of the space turbulence? The Beyond Heaven's world was really too vast. If he encountered any powerful foreign races with Long Yu's cultivation, only death would await him. Let's set off to the monster race's territory now. Everyone, follow me. Consort Yu called out to the Ghost Shadow Tribe's sovereign secret realm cultivators behind her, and then directly disappeared into the void. Everyone's figure changed unpredictably in an instant, heading in the direction of the monster race's territory. Chapter 1083. Of course, Long Yu did not know that Consort Yu was looking for him from the distant human race territory. After spending more than 2 months, he finally walked out of the ancient ruins of the galaxy and saw a dazzling galaxy appearing in the void in front of him. The scene was incomparably spectacular. When Long Yu left the Star River Ancient site, he looked back, but the Star River Ancient site was dead silent and dark. It was a completely deserted place. From a distance, it was hard to imagine that there was a vast Star River there. Now, there were only ruins and planet fragments left. But the Iron Wall Star River in front of Long Yu was different. The Iron Wall Celestial River was the closest celestial river in the demon race's territory to the human race. Currently, in Long Yu's eyes, the Iron Wall Celestial River occupied more than half of his field of vision. It was an incomparably resplendent celestial river, looking extremely dazzling in the deathly stillness of the void. I'm afraid there are tens of millions of planets in this Iron Wall Star River. It's really innumerable. This was the first time that Long Yu saw a star river in the Beyond Heaven's world. He was a little shocked. As he got closer to the Iron Wall Star River, the Star River gave him more and more of a shock. Until now, Long Yu still knew nothing about how the practitioners in the Star River survived and how they practiced. But soon, he would go to the Iron Wall Star River to experience it. Little brother, are you an experiential learning practitioner from the human race territory? Just as Long Yu gradually approached the Iron Wall Star River, an old man's voice came from the nearby void. Then, an old man in a gray robe appeared beside Long Yu. He was silent like a ghost, which startled Long Yu. Even up to this point, Long Yu still hadn't let down his guard. He had been concealing his aura the entire time. But now, this gray-robed old man had sensed Long Yu's existence. Furthermore, he had instantly appeared by Long Yu's side. From this, it could be seen that this old man's martial arts realm absolutely far surpassed Long Yu's. Long Yu felt a chill in his heart. He did not know the origin of this old man, so he could only say respectfully, "Senior, I am an experiential learning practitioner from the Juyo tribe in the human race territory. May I know who you are?" There was no lack of respect in the question, and Long Yu's words were quite appropriate. The gray-robed old man did not exude the slightest aura. He just gave Long Yu a friendly smile before replying, "It doesn't matter who I am. I'm just an ordinary guardian at the border of the monster race's territory. While I'm at it, I can collect some travel fees from those who come and go." Little brother, it will take at least 2 months to reach the Iron Wall Galaxy from here, but as long as you pay 5,000 demon coins, I can immediately send you to the first cultivation planet in the Iron Wall Galaxy, the Killing King Star. It will save you 2 months of time. Of course, you may not have demon coins on you, since you've just come to the demon race territory. It doesn't matter, this old man also accepts human coins, but the ratio is, how did this old man in a gray robe look like an expert? He was clearly an unscrupulous merchant. Long Yu still did not know the purchasing power of 5,000 demon coins. Although Qing Feng had left him 10,000 demon coins, he could not easily give half of it to the other party. Could he? Being able to save 2 months of time was very important to Long Yu. But just this alone was not enough to move Long Yu. This junior once had a monster cultivator friend, so I have 5,000 demon coins on me. It would be best if I could save time, but this junior doesn't know anything about the demon race territory or the Iron Wall Star River. Could Senior give me a brief introduction? Long Yu saw that the old man was easy to talk to, so he asked even more respectfully. Hearing Long Yu's words, the old man suddenly understood that this business deal was done, 5,000 demon coins in his hand. What this human boy in front of him needed was a little introduction about the demon race and the Iron Wall Star River, which was certainly not difficult for the old man in a gray robe. Ahem, the demon race's territory is vast, comparable to your human race. Little brother must not underestimate our demon race. The old man in a gray robe smiled kindly and began to explain. From the words of the old man in a gray robe, Long Yu really had a better understanding of the demon race in the Beyond Heaven's world. Originally, he did not know anything about the human race, let alone the demon race in the macro world. In the past, the only people from the Beyond Heaven's world that he had come into contact with were the people from the Lu Shan clan and Concubine Yu. However, he had only interacted with Concubine Yu for a short period of time, and she did not have the time to introduce him to more people. As a result, Long Yu had come out without knowing anything. Fortunately, Long Yu had now met a senior from the demon race who was easy to talk to, and he explained a lot to him. In the territory of the demon race, there were a total of 246 galaxies, each of which had tens of thousands of cultivation planets. For example, in the Iron Wall Star River, there were 22,000 cultivation planets. The so-called cultivation planets referred to the planets that were located near a divine rune source. Under the influence of the divine rune source, the planets could continuously produce heaven and earth spiritual energy. Although there were tens of millions of planets in every galaxy, many of them were not cultivation planets. The heaven and earth spiritual chi, creation power, and divine characters on them were rather thin, and it was basically very difficult to cultivate on them. In the Iron Wall Star River, the 22,000 cultivation planets were the most prosperous places in the entire Iron Wall Star. Among the 22,000 cultivation planets in the Iron Wall Star River, There were 4 cultivation planets that were the most prosperous. The first one was the King Killer Star that the old man had just mentioned. The King Killer Star was a cultivation planet on the edge of the Iron Wall Star River. There was a divine rune source called King Killer nearby, which was controlled by the demon race on the King Killer Star. On the King Killer Star, more than 30 great ruler-level super experts were stationed all year round. It was one of the strongest cultivation planets in the Iron Wall Star River. Hearing the gray-robed old man's introduction, Long Yu recalled the Lushan clan's Symbol Clan. Long Yu already knew that the entire Symbol Clan had a total of 33 great ruler-level experts, which is about the same as the number of experts on the King Killer Star. The King Killer Star's 30 great rulers not only ruled the King Killer Star, but also managed over 100 other cultivation planets nearby. They were a single entity, known as the King Killer Fiend Clan. The King Killer Fiend Clan was an important part of the Iron Wall Star River. They had a lot of say in important matters related to the Iron Wall Star River. Simply put, the King Killer Fiend Clan scale is similar to the Symbol Clans, while the Iron Wall Star River's strength is similar to the Lushan clans. That's about it. Long Yu had a rough understanding of the Beyond Heaven world. It turned out that the human race and demon race lived on the basis of cultivation planets. This was a territory system that was completely different from the Shenwu world. What is little brother's ultimate goal? After the gray-robed old man finished his introduction, he asked Long Yu. Long Yu replied without hesitation, "I don't have any ultimate goal. I just came to the monster race's territory to gain some experience. Of course, my friend from the monster race is in Qi Ming Celestial River. Does Senior know the fastest way to reach Qi Ming Celestial River?" Chime Qi Galaxy. The gray-robed old man narrowed his eyes and smiled. "It's simple. As long as you have enough demon coins, you can easily reach there. On the 4 cultivation planets of the Iron Wall Star River, there is a space-time imprint teleportation array. As long as you have enough demon coins, you can use the space-time imprint teleportation array all the way to Chime Qi Galaxy. Of course, even with the space-time imprint teleportation array, you can't teleport to Chime Qi Galaxy in one go. You can set off from the King Killer Star and teleport to another of the 4 cultivation planets, which is the Monster Jade Star. From there, you can teleport to Chime Qi Galaxy. Space-time imprint teleportation array. This was the first time Long Yu heard of this, but it was not convenient to ask the old man about it. After all, in the eyes of the old man, he came from the human race's territory. Presumably, the space-time imprint teleportation array also existed in the human race's territory. If he asked now, it might arouse the old man's suspicions. "Okay, thank you, Senior. Here are 5,000 demon coins. Senior, are you saying that you can teleport me directly to the vicinity of the King Killer Star?" Long Yu took out the 5,000 demon coins and asked. Yes, of course, this kind of smuggling is not allowed. This old man can only teleport you to a place 10 million miles away from the King Killer Star, and then you can fly there by yourself. Of course, if you want to set foot on the King Killer Star, you have to pay a fee, about a few hundred demon coins. The gray-robed old man explained in great detail. After all, he had already accepted Long Yu's demon coins. "Then I'll have to trouble Senior." Long Yu smiled and said to the old man, if he could save time, he wouldn't waste it. Especially right now, time was extremely precious to him. He needed to quickly increase his martial realm to better solve the problem of the Death Star Vortex in the Nine Serenities world. When a small portion of the Death Star Vortex's power spreads out, any living being it touches will have their soul sucked away, turning into a walking corpse. Long Yu didn't want the entire Shenwu world to become a world of walking corpses. That's why he needed to teleport everyone away from Shenwu world before that happened. The best choice was Long Yu's own mini-world, but that would require Long Yu to reach the ruler's secret realm. From the current situation, it would be extremely difficult for Long Yu to become a ruler's secret realm cultivator within the time limit, to the point that it was almost impossible. The only thing he could look forward to was obtaining enough creation energy. After all, he didn't have any bottlenecks. As long as he obtained enough treasures that contained creation energy, he would be able to quickly increase his martial realm. Chapter 1084. After a series of space divine runes flashed, Long Yu's eyes lit up, and he was teleported to a place hundreds of millions of miles away by the gray-robed old man. If Long Yu were to use void travel, it would take him at least a month or two to reach this distance. That old man is so powerful. I'm afraid he's at least a great ruler. But such a being says he's just an ordinary guardian of the monster territory. Long Yu was very clear in his heart that the old man's strength was absolutely terrifying. If the borders of the demon race's territory were filled with such guards, then the strength of the entire demon race hidden in the dark was absolutely shocking. But then again, it made sense. The monster territory had a total of 246 galaxies. If there was no guardian at the borders, it would be easy for the foreign races to invade and cause great losses. With such a terrifying demon clan guard like that old man, the demon clan's territory would be relatively peaceful. Apart from the foreign god race in Shunwu world and the remnant bone race and remnant race in the Star River ancient ruins, Long Yu had not seen any other foreign races, so he did not know how many races were fighting for territory in Beyond Heaven's world. This side of Iron Wall Galaxy is still close to the human territory, so it's considered a relatively safe area. If I was on the other side of the monster territory, the war would be very fierce. No one would show mercy to the other side. Long Yu had a deep understanding of this. From the fate of the Bone Race and the Vestigial Race, he knew that once a race was defeated in a war between races, it would mean the extinction of the entire race. In such a war, it was naturally impossible for anyone to show any mercy to the enemy. Of course, Long Yu was far from being able to set foot on the foreign race's battlefield. It was better for him to first find the White Feather Monster clan in the monster territory, and then cultivate for a while. After sorting out his thoughts, Long Yu began to observe the situation in front of him. After being teleported hundreds of millions of miles away, Long Yu opened his eyes and found that there was indeed a blood-red planet in front of him. This blood-red planet was very vast. Although it was spherical, its overall area was definitely more than 100 times the size of Shunwu world. As expected of one of the 4 great cultivation planets of Iron Wall Galaxy, Long Yu couldn't help but sigh. Even from tens of millions of miles away, he could feel the murderous aura emanating from this blood-red planet. This was the King Killer Star, a cultivation planet belonging to the King Killer monster race of Iron Wall Galaxy. In the vicinity of the King Killer planet, there were hundreds of other cultivation planets. These cultivation planets were not small in size, but they could not compare to the King Killer planet. The 100-plus cultivation planets all revolved around the divine runic source in the center, to the Slaughter King Star and the other 100-plus cultivation planets. This divine runic source was equivalent to his sun. The King Killer monster race rose to prominence by comprehending the King Killer divine runes and became one of the most powerful races in the monster territory. Every King Killer monster race beast cultivator had extremely tyrannical battle prowess, surpassing ordinary opponents of the same level. My next goal is to earn enough demon coins on the King Killer Star, then use the space-time imprint teleportation array to directly teleport to the next Fey Jade Star. Long Yu was very convinced by the gray-robed old man's words. After all, there was no reason for the other party to lie to him. The King Killer Star and Fey Jade Star were both among the 4 great cultivation planets of Iron Wall Galaxy. Presumably, the scale of Fey Jade Star was no less than the King Killer Star. From the King Killer Star to Fey Jade Star, it could be said that Fey Jade Star was on the other side of Iron Wall Galaxy. From there, one could directly teleport to the White Feather Monster race's Resonance Galaxy. If one didn't use the teleportation array and wanted to fly through the void, not to mention 1 year, even if it took 10 years, Long Yu might not be able to reach Resonance Galaxy, because the distance between them was just too great. Even if the distance between the King Killer Star and Fey Jade Star was almost the entire Iron Wall Galaxy, it would still take Long Yu at least 2 to 3 years to cross the distance. I just don't know how many demon coins I would need to cross from the King Killer Star to the Fey Jade Star. With the 5,000 demon coins I have left, I'm afraid it won't be enough. Long Yu felt a little melancholic as he thought about it. No matter where he went, money was still one of the most important things. Without money, he couldn't travel. For now, he could only go to the King Killer Star and inquire about the situation. He used void traversal in the direction of the King Killer Star. Crossing hundreds of thousands of kilometers, he would soon arrive at the King Killer Star. However, just 5 million kilometers away from the King Killer Star, a defensive barrier invisible to the naked eye blocked Long Yu's path, preventing him from crossing space to get closer to the King Killer Star. Immediately after, 2 demon cultivators wearing scarlet-red armor appeared not too far away, rushing towards Long Yu's location. King Killer Star is a restricted area. If you want to pass, report your name and pay 500 demon coins. The 2 monster cultivators in scarlet armor, both at the level of a 5-star emperor, were not too strong. However, Long Yu could feel that there were countless scarlet-armored monster cultivators in the vicinity of the King Killer Star's defensive barrier. If he wanted to start a fight here, there was no need to think about it. Only death awaited him. My name is Hill Ghost. I came here from the human race territory to gain experience. I'll have to trouble the 2 of you to make things convenient for me. Of course, Long Yu knew the importance of demon coins in the monster territory. Therefore, without hesitation, he took out 1,000 demon coins and handed them 500 each. These 2 monster cultivators in scarlet armor were presumably from the King Killer Demon clan. Their murderous aura was extremely heavy, and there was a very bloody aura around them. If an ordinary person approached them, they would probably feel uncomfortable. However, it was nothing to Long Yu. In Long Yu's eyes, murderous aura was as common as rice. Well said, well said. The 2 monster cultivators in scarlet armor were very satisfied with Long Yu's understanding. Originally, they wanted to collect a total of 500 demon coins from Long Yu, most of which was to be handed over to their superiors. But now, Long Yu gave them an extra 500 demon coins. These 500 demon coins were purely shared between the 2 of them. Stationed outside the King Killer planet, although this kind of job was not bad, they would not encounter too many accidents, and their safety was guaranteed. However, it was not possible to earn more demon coins. This kind of extra income made the 2 monster cultivators very happy. Let's go, Hill Ghost, right? You're from the human race. Don't make trouble when you reach the King Killer planet. Otherwise, you will be punished according to military law. This is the edge of the monster territory. Once you are caught causing trouble, you will be severely punished. Remember this. The 2 monster cultivators in scarlet armor also kindly reminded Long Yu. Thank you, both of you. Long Yu smiled and nodded. Then, under the guidance of the 2, he passed through the transparent defensive barrier and could finally officially land on the King Killer planet. If it's your first time here, you can go to the largest city of the King Killer planet, the King Killer City. Whether you want to buy or sell cultivation resources, or you want to see the world, the King Killer City has everything. One of the scarlet armored monster cultivator guards introduced the city to Long Yu before leaving. Long Yu certainly nodded. Then he thought King Killer City, just from the name, it was the largest city on the King Killer planet. Then, the space-time mark transmission array that led to Monster Jade Planet should have been built in King Killer City, right? Long Yu didn't think too much about it. He directly approached the King Killer Planet. As he approached the surface of the King Killer Planet, a layer of atmosphere wrapped around Long Yu, giving him a familiar feeling, as if he had returned to his previous life. However, Long Yu knew that the atmosphere here was different from the atmosphere of the world before he was reborn into this world. The atmosphere around the King Killer Planet was the symbol of a cultivation planet. The closer a planet was to the divine rune source, the thicker the atmosphere. It contained rich heaven and earth spiritual energy, and treasures containing the power of creation would be born. The power of creation was different from heaven and earth spiritual energy. It basically didn't exist by itself. Once it appeared, it would attach itself to certain objects. Even if it was an ordinary object, after being attached to the power of creation, it would become a priceless treasure. Once one stepped into the sovereign mystic realm, heaven and earth spiritual energy became useless. If one wanted to increase their martial arts realm, they would need to rely on treasures with the power of creation. For example, the last piece of divine armament demon stone on Long Yu's body was such a treasure. Moreover, it was an extremely high-end treasure. Long Yu's current understanding of the power of creation was limited. He didn't know anything about the grade and value of treasures with the power of creation. King Killer Planet. I hope I can earn demon coins as soon as possible and teleport to Monster Jade Planet. With this thought in mind, Long Yu descended on the surface of the King Killer Planet. The first thing that appeared in front of him was a vast desert. Near this desert, there was a small city. Long Yu wasn't interested in going to this city. However, he didn't know where the King Killer Planet was. Therefore, he decided to go to the city and inquire about the situation. As Long Yu approached, he discovered that this was a very ordinary city. The majority of the residents were from the King Killer Beast clan. The King Killer Beast clan's demonic cultivators looked similar to humans. However, their bodies were red, and they had a strong killing intent since they were young. Moreover, the stronger their killing intent, the stronger their cultivation talent, and they were qualified to comprehend the Source Grade King Killer Divine Rune. The King Killer Divine Rune was a Berserker attribute divine rune. In the King Killer Beast clan, the power of this divine rune was displayed to the extreme. Chapter 1085. One day later, Long Yu finally arrived at the largest city on the entire King Killer planet, the King Killer City, after inquiring the local King Killer Demon clan. The King Killer City was more than 100 times larger than the Shun Wu world's sacred city of the Five Emperors. At the center of the city was a blood-red building that emitted waves of killing intent. This was the royal palace of the King Killer Beasts. This palace was the grandest building among the hundreds of cultivation planets around the King Killer planet, second to none. However, Long Yu didn't come to the King Killer City to admire the palace. Inside the King Killer City, there were many cultivators of both races, but it didn't seem chaotic because this was the biggest base of the King Killer Beast clan. Who would dare to cause trouble here? Whoever dared to cause trouble in the King Killer City was definitely tired of living. Other than the King Killer Demonic clan, there were many other demonic clans in the King Killer City. Walking on the streets, Long Yu could see dozens of different demonic clans. Among them, there were experts from the Sovereign Secret Realm, King Dao's Secret Realm, Transcendent Secret Realm, and even Deva Realm cultivators. Of course, in the King Killer City, those cultivators in the Divine Secret Realm and Celestial Being Secret Realm couldn't do anything. They couldn't even be hired as waiters in some restaurants. Of course, there weren't many of them. Most of the cultivators in the King Killer City were just kids. After 2 days of walking around the King Killer City, Long Yu had spent almost all of his beast coins. He spent a lot of beast coins on gathering information and finding a safe place to rest. Although he had spent all his beast coins, he managed to gather a lot of useful information. He had a better understanding of the living environment of the Beast Clan. 2 of them were the most important ones. The first one was the Time-Space Imprint Transmission Array. It was built in a valley not far from the King Killer City. Because the Time-Space Imprint Transmission Array would explode with a powerful energy when activated, it couldn't be built inside the city. It could only be built in a remote place outside the city. The Space-Time Mar Teleportation Array only had 7 or 8 teleportation destinations, one of which was the Monster Jade Star that the old man had mentioned. Along with the Killer King Star, it was one of the 4 major cultivation planets of the Iron Wall Celestial River. The other one turned out to be a space-time imprint transmission formation located in the Star River Ancient Site as a hub connecting the territories of the Human Clan and the Demon Clan. That transmission formation was built in the middle of the border between the territories of the Human Clan and the Demon Clan, and there were quite a lot of people coming and going from it. There were a total of 8 teleportation destinations. They would open once a day, and the 8 destinations would open in turns. If one wanted to go to Monster Jade Planet, they would have to wait for 8 days for every 2 teleportations. This was because the space-time imprint teleportation formation was extremely difficult to activate. It required a huge amount of energy to activate, so the price of teleportation was very high. If you want to teleport to Monster Jade Star, everyone has to pay a different fee because the energy required to teleport everyone is different. The fees are based on the cultivator's cultivation. Long you could understand this. The higher the cultivator's cultivation, the larger their inner world or miniature world would be. If one wanted to teleport such a powerhouse, it would definitely consume more energy. In this regard, Long Yu had an advantage. If the fees were based on cultivation, then with his 2-star Emperor's martial Dao realm, he only needed 150,000 demon coins to join the transmission formation in China. However, if it was an ordinary lower-level ruler with his own miniature world, it would cost at least 1,000,000 demon coins. For this reason, Long Yu deliberately asked around. If a cultivator at the level of Emperor owned someone else's miniature world and mastered the world imprint, the exact answer he got was that the other party would not care whether you had a miniature world or not. The fees were strictly based on the martial Dao realm. This made Long Yu feel relieved. As long as he earned 150,000 demon coins on Killer King Star, he could directly teleport to Monster Jade Planet. If there was a good opportunity, it would be best to earn more demon coins at once. That way, after arriving at Monster Jade Planet, he could directly teleport to Qi Ming Celestial River to find like clear breeze. How can I earn demon coins in the shortest time? Long had been thinking about this for the past 2 days. 2 days later, he finally got a good piece of news. It was another important piece of news that he had obtained in the past 2 days. Bloody Battlefield. This is an arena built by the Killer King Monster Clan. It can be said to be a gambling place. In the Bloody Battlefield, there are many alien races captured by the Killer King Monster Clan outside the monster race's territory. There are various martial Dao realms here. After paying a certain fee, one can challenge a designated alien race. If the challenge is successful and the alien race is killed, one can get the corresponding reward. Of course, whether the challenge is successful or not, the fee paid will not be refunded. This is how the Bloody Battlefield makes money. This was the information Long Yu got. Therefore, on the second day after he arrived at Killer King City, he found the Bloody Battlefield. This was the largest arena built by the royal clan of the Killer King Monster Clan. At this time, Long Yu was still acting alone. Because there were many people in the Killer King City, Long Yu was afraid that if he called others out, it would cause trouble. In the Bloody Battlefield, there were fish and dragons mixed together. All kinds of monster race and human race cultivators were here to watch the challenges, or to personally challenge the captured powerful alien races. Many aristocrats of the Killer King City were very keen to come here to have fun, not to mention the ordinary cultivators. This caused the entire Bloody Battlefield to be very lively, with a sea of people everywhere. No matter where Long Yu went, he could see a blood-red stone tablet. The stone tablet was engraved with the 3 iron rules of the Bloody Battlefield. The first iron rule: regardless of life or death, as long as one set foot on the arena and was killed by the alien race, the Bloody Battlefield would not be responsible. Similarly, if a cultivator killed an alien race, the Bloody Battlefield would absolutely not investigate. The second iron rule: the supremacy of credibility. As long as the challenger could kill an alien race, the Bloody Battlefield would give the reward of the alien race to the cultivator. The cultivator would never go back on his word. The third iron rule: the troublemakers would die. The last iron rule made it very clear that anyone who came here to cause trouble would definitely die. On the Killer King planet, the Bloody Battlefield was absolutely qualified to say such words. Even if a sovereign came to cause trouble, the 30 or so sovereigns of the Killer King Beast clan would not let them do as they pleased. The Bloody Battlefield: not only can I challenge alien races, but I can also increase my combat experience. If I succeed, I can also get rich rewards. It is really suitable for me. I still have 1,000 demon coins on me, so I should first start with the alien races with relatively low rewards. The interior of the Bloody Battlefield was mainly divided into nearly 10 levels, suitable for King Realm, Emperor Realm, Emperor Realm, Emperor Realm, Lower Sovereign Realm, Intermediate Sovereign Realm, and Upper Sovereign Realm to challenge alien races. Every arena in the bloody battlefield was used to imprison aliens of the same level of martial arts, and there were also some minor requirements for the challengers. For example, an Emperor Realm cultivator could not challenge a King Realm alien race. Otherwise, the bloody battlefield would no longer need to do business. Therefore, Long Yu went straight to the 4th level of the bloody battlefield. In this level, alien races of the Emperor level were all imprisoned. Each of them had been captured directly from the battlefield of alien races, and their combat strength was extremely terrifying and fierce. When passing through the first 3 levels, Long Yu saw the terror of these imprisoned alien races. On the 2nd floor, there was a late Emperor Realm demon cultivator who paid 2,000 demon coins to challenge a mid-Emperor Realm foreign race expert. The alien race's body was as smooth as a mirror, a bit like the Ice God clan. However, its color and shape were completely different from the Ice God clan. It looked like a human with hands and feet, but its skin was extremely smooth. Mirror Race. This name was written on the outside of the arena, indicating that this foreign race belonged to the Mirror Race. This Mirror Race powerhouse had no eyes or other facial features on his head, only a dense array of prisms that reflected everything around him. The late Emperor Realm Tiger Race cultivator fought fiercely with the Silver Mirror Race for a long time. Long Yu watched from the side and gained some understanding of the Mirror Race's fighting style. They mainly relied on the power of some kind of mystical divine characters to reflect other people's attacks. No matter how fierce the Tiger Race cultivator's attacks were, he couldn't break through the Mirror Race's defense. In the end, the Mirror Race seized an opportunity and slashed the Tiger Race cultivator's body into pieces with a mirror-like sword light. Flesh and blood splattered all over the arena. Every alien imprisoned in the arena was extremely fierce. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been sent to the foreign race's battlefield. Therefore, in the entire bloody battlefield, there were many people who failed the challenge and died every day. In the bloody battlefield, once the challenge failed, very few people could leave alive. 90% of the challengers died in the martial arena, which was very dangerous. Because of this, the rewards for every alien in the bloody battlefield were extremely generous. For example, the mid-Emperor Realm Mirror Race warrior only needed to pay 2,000 demon coins to challenge him. But if one defeated him, they would receive 20,000 demon coins. This was almost 10 times the reward. Countless people flocked to the bloody battlefield like a flock of ducks. But in the end, less than 1 out of 10 people were able to defeat these alien races. No matter what, the bloody battlefield maintained absolute profits. All the outsiders imprisoned in the arena were the cream of the crop among the outsiders in the same realm. Defeating them was easier said than done. Unfortunately, Long Yu was a 2-star emperor right now. He couldn't challenge an Emperor Realm alien. Therefore, he could only go straight to the 4th floor and choose an Emperor Realm alien. There were 1,000 Emperor Realm alien races imprisoned on the 4th floor. When Long Yu stepped onto the 4th floor, he felt that the atmosphere was abruptly different from the 3 floors below. Chapter 1086. As soon as Long Yu arrived at the 4th floor of the bloody battlefield, he could feel the murderous atmosphere of this place. The entire 4th floor of the bloody battlefield was circular in shape and covered an extremely vast area. If one walked around the outer ring, it was at least thousands of miles long. There were a total of thousands of arenas for cultivators to challenge. The alien race in this arena only needs to pay 1,000 demon coins to challenge. If I succeed, I can get 2,000 demon coins as a reward. Furthermore, my cultivation is lower than the alien race, so if I win, I can get an extra reward. Long Yu quickly found a rather weak foreign race member. This foreign race member was also a mirror race warrior. However, he had the strength of a 3-star sovereign emperor. In the bloody battlefield, every alien imprisoned in the arena would have a basic reward for winning a challenge. For example, the mirror race warrior chosen by Long Yu would have to pay 1,000 demon coins to challenge, and if he won, he would get 2,000 demon coins. On the basis of this basic reward, there would be some increase or decrease in the reward depending on the challenger's cultivation. For example, if Long Yu was a 2-star emperor, if he challenged this 3-star emperor mirror race warrior, if he succeeded, the reward would be doubled to 4,000 demon coins. However, if a 4th-star imperial monarch were to challenge this 3rd-star imperial monarch, then even if the 4th-star imperial monarch won, the 4th-star imperial monarch would only be able to obtain half of the reward, which was only 1,000 crystals. Therefore, this 3rd-star monarch realm mirror race warrior would not be challenged by cultivators at the 4th-star monarch realm or higher. It would be an arduous and thankless task. If they lost, not only would they lose face, but they might even lose their lives. It should be known that each alien captured from the battlefield of the alien race had a unique skill to save their lives. It was absolutely not easy to kill them. Long Yu walked to the edge of the arena and said to a Killer King monster race supervisor, "I want to challenge this mirror race warrior in this arena. Here are 1,000 demon coins." This Killer King monster race supervisor's martial realm was not high, only at the level of a 1-star emperor. However, there were 2 Killer King monster race guards in red armor beside him. These 2 Killer King monster race cultivators both had the strength of a 7-star emperor. They both had a bloody aura that was enough to make ordinary cultivators tremble. They were definitely experts who had dominated the battlefield. Register here. The manager of the Death King clan glanced at Long Yu, and he couldn't help but reveal a wisp of disdain in his eyes. A 2nd-star imperial monarch like Long Yu had challenged the mirror race's warriors in the arena, and many of them had been defeated and killed. Although this mirror race warrior had just been sent here, he was already famous for his ferocity in the 4th level of the bloody battlefield. As for the reward for challenging this mirror race warrior, they had already applied to the higher-ups to increase it. Otherwise, no one would come to challenge him. However, this Killer King monster race supervisor did not expect that a 2-star emperor human would come here and say that he wanted to challenge this 3-star emperor mirror race warrior. There was no doubt that this person was here to give him money. The supervisor beamed with joy. With 1,000 demon coins in his account, he would have a commission of 200 demon coins, which was quite good. After you pay the demon coins, wait for half an hour, and then the challenge can begin. During this time, you can first watch the video of this mirror race warrior's previous challenge. The supervisor put away the 1,000 demon coins that Long Yu had given him, then took out a true imprint and handed it to Long Yu. Long Yu knew that this was the usual practice, so he took the true imprint. In this true imprint, there were all the videos of the previous challenge of this mirror race warrior. By studying the videos in this true imprint, one could generally gradually understand the mirror race warrior's methods. The half an hour was enough time for Long Yu to prepare. It could also be said that it was time for the bloody battlefield to publicize this battle and gather more people. After Long Yu completed the registration, the Killer King monster race supervisor, whose whole body was red, began to publicize this battle and opened a gambling house. Those who participated in the gambling house could bet on Long Yu, or they could bet on the challenged alien race. The odds were calculated according to the total demon coins bet by both sides. The bloody battlefield would only take a 1% commission. Therefore, whether Long Yu won or lost, the bloody battlefield wouldn't lose anything. Only those who bet would lose. Just as the Killer King monster race supervisor began to open the gambling house to attract the audience, Long Yu was studying the images in the true imprint. There was no doubt that understanding the opponent's information in advance was very helpful in the battle. At least for the challenger, it could reduce a lot of unknown dangers and let the challenger have a deeper understanding of the alien race they were facing. This would prevent the opponent from killing them directly. In any case, the purpose of the bloody battlefield was to make money, but in the end, it was still an industry of the monster race. It was impossible to capture some powerful alien race and let them kill their own people. Therefore, recording the imprint of true spirit in every battle would allow the foreign race to reveal more of their trump cards as the number of battles increased. In the end, all of their trump cards would be known, and the foreign race would not be far from being defeated and killed. Generally speaking, The alien race that was sent to the bloody battlefield could last 2 or 3 battles. Some of them were more powerful and could last at least 5 battles. At this time, the reward for winning the challenge would increase a lot. Some particularly powerful alien races could last more than 10 battles in the bloody battlefield. If the challenger won this kind of alien race, he would get more rich rewards, which would stimulate the cultivators to challenge. A warrior of the mirror race of the 3-star emperor. The mirror race is a race that is very hostile to the monster race. The mirror race has hands and feet, but their heads don't have facial features. They only have hundreds of extremely smooth mirrors. Even their whole body and limbs are made of mirrors. They are most proficient in various kinds of reflective divine characters. Long Yu looked at the introduction of the true imprint and then began to watch the video of the first battle recorded. The first challenge this mirror race warrior encountered was from a beast cultivator of the Killer King monster race of the 3-star emperor. The beast cultivator of the Killer King monster race was also in human form. He used both hands and feet, but his skin was red and his eyes were very small. The similarity between the monster race and the human race was that the appearance of the monster race was similar to that of the human race. Most of the monster race had eyes, ears, a mouth, a nose, and hands and feet. However, the other alien races were completely different. For example, although the mirror race had hands and feet, they didn't have facial features. This was the biggest difference between them, the monster race and the human race. The beast cultivator of the Killer King monster race of the 3-star emperor used a powerful killing method as soon as he entered the battlefield. He attacked the mirror race warrior with the power of the Killer King monster race's divine characters. However, the mirror race warrior only focused on defense. He kept activating the mirror divine characters and reflective divine characters. He could easily block any of the opponent's attacks and use this to consume the opponent's energy. In the end, he even created a mirror sealing array. This mirror sealing array trapped the Killer King monster race's demonic cultivator inside. The mirror race warrior stabbed him with the sharp sword energy of the sword chi of the mirror race. He didn't even have the time to escape or admit defeat. In the bloody battlefield, the challenger could take the initiative to admit defeat. However, even if he admitted defeat, someone else had to enter the gladiator arena to rescue him. This Killer King monster race cultivator didn't even have the time to admit defeat before he was killed by the mirror race warrior. This was a clean and decisive kill. Long Yu couldn't help but admire the mirror race warrior. This mirror race warrior was indeed a veteran of the battlefield. His methods were much more ruthless than the Killer King monster race's demonic cultivator. The second battle was initiated by a golden-feathered bird race. This demonic cultivator seemed to be very fast. However, in the face of the mirror race warrior's absolute defense, he couldn't do anything. In the end, he was also trapped in the mirror sealing array. Fortunately, this bird race had some tricks up his sleeves. He had seen the tragic death of the previous challenger and was prepared for this mirror sealing array. He managed to break the mirror sealing array. However, 3 mirror-like sword lights descended from the sky and instantly destroyed the bird race's demonic cultivator's wings and head. This was an Emperor Dao mystique that was revealed in the second battle. The third battle, the fourth battle, Long Yu was quite surprised. This mirror race warrior had actually been challenged by 5 people in a row and won all of them. The strength he displayed was definitely beyond that of ordinary cultivators of the 3-star emperor. However, if this mirror race warrior only had these few tricks up his sleeves, Long Yu would definitely be able to finish him off this time. Even if this mirror race warrior had more tricks up his sleeves, Long Yu wasn't afraid at all. After watching the 5 battles recorded in the imprint of true spirit, Long Yu was ready to set off. However, it was at this moment that a sinister-looking young man wearing a red cloak suddenly walked out from the crowd of over 1,000 people. If you want a better reward, you might as well wait for a while before going in a challenge. This mirror race warrior has just won his 5th battle, so the decision to increase his reward will be announced soon. The evil-looking young man said to Long Yu with a smile. "Thank you, my friend." Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. The other party's words were not bad for him. After all, it was the same battle. It would naturally be better if he could get a better reward. I am a blood demon prince. I bet 100,000 demon coins in the bet that you will win. Don't let me down. The corners of the red-cloaked youth's mouth curled up. He sized up Long Yu and laughed. This surprised Long Yu quite a bit. This so-called blood demon prince actually bet 100,000 demon coins in the bet that he would win. Did this guy see through my background? Impossible. He must be relying on his intuition. Chapter 1087. Although the rules on the fourth floor of the bloody battlefield stated that only cultivators at the level of the Emperor could issue challenges, there were no restrictions on spectators or participants in the gambling. Therefore, as a lower dominator, Prince Blood Demon could still place his bets here. Even some young masters of the Killer King Demon clan, who were not very talented in cultivation and were only at the mystery realm, would go to the 7th or 8th floor to watch the battles and participate in the gambling. This kind of thing happened from time to time. After that, Long Yu and Prince Blood Demon did not have much communication. According to the rules of the bloody battlefield, those who participated in the gambling were not allowed to have too much contact with the challengers. Otherwise, they would be regarded as cheating. Of course, this Prince Blood Demon seemed to have some background. Even though he said a few words to Long Yu, the steward of the Killer King Demon clan did not raise any objections. After waiting for another half an hour, the reward increase from the bloody battlefield was finally announced. Originally, if one wanted to challenge this mirror race warrior at the level of the 3-star Emperor, they had to pay 1,000 demon coins. If they won, the basic reward was 2,000 demon coins. Since Long Yu's cultivation was relatively low, the basic reward was doubled to 4,000 demon coins. But now, because this mirror race warrior had won 5 battles in a row, the reward for defeating him had been increased by 1, which was an upper-grade Archean demon core. The so-called demon core was a medicinal pill provided for demon cultivators. It was of no use to Long Yu, but an upper-grade Archean demon core could be sold for at least 5,000 demon coins, even if he sold it on the spot. As long as Long Yu could win the challenge, in addition to the basic doubled 4,000 demon coins, he could also get this upper-grade Archean demon core. It turns out that after winning 5 battles in a row, the reward increase is so much. Thanks to Prince Blood Demon for asking me to wait a while before going up to fight. Long Yu thought to himself. He turned around, nodded to Prince Blood Demon to show his goodwill, and then turned around to walk toward the gladiatorial arena. The gladiatorial arena of the bloody battlefield was protected by a defensive barrier set up by the Great Ruler to prevent the alien races from escaping. Challengers needed to have a one-time pass to pass through the barrier and step into the gladiatorial arena. Long Yu held the one-time pass token in his hand and quickly passed through the defensive barrier, stepping into the arena. That mirror race warrior had been sitting cross-legged in the arena, resting. However, as soon as Long Yu stepped onto the arena, the mirror race warrior's figure suddenly flickered and he disappeared from his original spot. So fast, Long Yu's expression changed slightly. From the information he received from the True Spirit imprint, he didn't know that this mirror race warrior was so fast. In the previous battle recordings, the mirror race warrior had mainly focused on defense. It rarely took the initiative to attack. Who would have thought that as soon as Long Yu stepped onto the arena, the mirror race warrior would take the initiative to attack? You see that I'm just a 2-star Emperor, so you want to kill me instantly? Long Yu had long been prepared for a bloody battle. He immediately activated balance control and immediately sensed the position of the mirror race warrior. 3 mirror-like sword lights condensed above his head and slashed down at an extremely fast speed. It had only been a breath of time since Long Yu stepped onto the gladiatorial arena, and Long Yu was already facing his opponent's fierce attack. The 3 mirror-like sword lights were an Emperor Dao mystic ability of the mirror race warrior. They contained terrifying cutting power that could even cut the flesh of the 3-star Emperor. As expected of an alien race that has fought on the battlefield, the fact that Long Yu had encountered an opponent like this caused his heart to burn with excitement. What he needed right now was an opponent like this. Only an opponent like this could improve his unbounded martial skill, the wild warring celestial body. Siphon Totem. Long Yu raised his hand and unleashed his Emperor Dao mystic ability. A siphon totem appeared where he was, and the power of the five-colored god absorbing runes exploded out. As for Long Yu himself, he moved at an even faster speed, instantly disappearing from where he was, leaving only a void vortex where he had been. Void Traversal. With the cooperation of Long Yu and Little Su, they could change their positions with just a thought. Their speed was much faster than their opponents. The Mirror Race Warriors' three mirror-like sword lights slashed down, but they only managed to cut through half of the Siphon Totem. In the end, the Siphon Totem absorbed the power of the three mirror-like sword lights. The void vortex left behind by Long Yu's void traversal hindered the Mirror Race Warrior a little, and his lightning-fast movements paused for a moment. Dragon Breath of the Nine Underworlds. Long Yu didn't want to kill the Mirror Race Warrior so quickly, especially since the Mirror Race Warrior might still have a shocking trump card up his sleeve. Therefore, he planned to take his time and let the fighting celestial body gradually awaken. Ever since he obtained the cultivation method of the fighting celestial body, Long Yu hadn't experienced a single battle. Therefore, he took this challenge very seriously. It would be best if he could comprehend the fighting celestial body to the novice level in this battle. Dragon Breath of the Nine Underworlds gathered in Long Yu's mouth and burst out. It was like a pitch-black explosion that enveloped the Mirror Race Warrior. The Mirror Race Warrior's mirror-like body flashed, and a mirror-like barrier appeared in front of him. The mirror-like barrier blocked Long Yu's Dragon Breath of the Nine Underworlds and bounced it back. As expected of the Mirror Race, this is also one of its Emperor Path theurgy. I didn't expect its defense to be so strong. Long Yu's expression became slightly solemn. Although his Dragon Breath of the Nine Underworlds was only an Emperor-based theurgy, its destructive power was definitely not inferior to that of an ordinary two-star Emperor's theurgy. Even the Dragon Breath of the Nine Underworlds could not break the mirror-like barrier. It could be seen that the previous challengers at the level of the three-star Emperor had died in the hands of this Mirror Race Warrior. This Mirror Race Warrior was indeed very strong. The Dragon Breath of the Nine Underworlds was bounced back, and Long Yu dodged it with Void Traversal. However, as soon as he moved, he felt that something was wrong. He immediately became alert and turned to Void Traversal in another direction. The place he wanted to teleport to had a wave of mirror-like divine text appear out of nowhere. The Mirror Race Warrior had predicted the direction Long Yu would escape to in advance and set up a mirror-like sealing array there. Fortunately, Long Yu had cultivated to the 8th level balance control and warned him of this situation in time. Thus, he changed his location before he teleported and escaped this disaster. Even though Long Yu was sealed by the mirror sealing array, the Mirror Race Warrior might not be able to kill Long Yu. However, being trapped by the Mirror Race Warrior was still dangerous. The next moment, the mirror-like sealing array was indeed activated in mid-air. However, Long Yu's figure did not appear in the location predicted by the Mirror Race Warrior. Instead, he appeared in another direction and summoned 5 white skeletal arms from the void. Hand of the Nine Underworlds. Long Yu had been preparing this move for a long time. 5 white skeletal arms directly reached out from the void. Each of the white skeletal arms was an Emperor Path theurgy. The corrosive power of the Nine Underworlds divine text was extremely terrifying. The 5 arms appeared at the same time and completely surrounded the Mirror Race Warrior. They even sealed off all possible directions for the Mirror Race Warrior. The Mirror Race Warrior subconsciously wanted to use the space divine text to escape, but unfortunately, Long Yu also took out the ancient Dragonbone Tower at this time and activated the absolute space domain, sealing off all the space divine text power in the entire arena. If the 5 white skeletal arms completely grabbed the Mirror Race Warrior, the corrosive Nine Underworlds divine text would at least severely injure him. In the face of the absolute space domain that Long Yu activated, the mirror race warrior's mirror-like color suddenly changed. Long Yu knew that the other party's expression had changed. Clearly, the mirror race warrior was very surprised by the appearance of the absolute space domain. This surprise forced the mirror race warrior to use more tricks. If he did not use more tricks, the mirror race warrior would definitely be defeated by the 5 white skeletal arms. Origin level, it really is the origin level mirror divine text, and this is a first-grade god chain. Long Yu watched as the mirror race warrior's entire body blossomed with resplendent mirror runes, and then a mirror blade shot out from the mirror race warrior's body. It actually used this mirror blade to cut apart the space around it, creating a spatial rift. The 5 white skeletal arms were directly pulled into that spatial rift. That was the first-grade god chain that the mirror race warrior had used. When the first-grade god chain was used, there was a burst of exclamations from the audience. It's a first-grade god chain. This mirror race warrior is too strong. He actually knows a first-grade god chain technique. Now the human cultivator is done for. That a first-grade god chain. This mirror race warrior must have a high status in the mirror race. In my opinion, this mirror race warrior can win at least 3 more rounds in a row. Believe it or not, this first-grade god chain is definitely not his last resort. Prince Blood Demon, you've made a mistake this time. You've even used a first-grade god chain. The human cultivator that you've bet 100,000 on is definitely going to lose. The audience was all whispering to each other. Standing at the front of the crowd, Prince Blood Demon had a confident smile on his face. There was a hint of disdain in his eyes. What the hell can these shallow people see? That mirror tribe warrior didn't show his true strength in the previous 5 battles. But as soon as this human cultivator called Hill Ghost stepped onto the stage, he immediately attacked. It's obvious that he felt threatened by this human cultivator. After all, he's an existence that has experienced war. His perception of danger is much sharper than that of ordinary people. Prince Blood Demon still had confidence in Long Yu. When everybody thought that Long Yu was no match for the mirror race warrior, there were still some people who believed that Long Yu would win. Long Yu, on the other hand, had no time to pay attention to the audience outside, let alone hear what they were talking about. That was because the mirror tribe warrior had just used his first-grade divine chain to tear open a spatial rift and devour the 5-9 nether hands. Then, he charged directly at Long Yu. Even though he was in the absolute space domain, his speed was still as fast as lightning. Chapter 1088. Long Yu was also very surprised by this mirror tribe warrior's technique. That mirror-like blade was able to tear through space and drag the 5-9 nether hands that he had formed into the void. First-grade god chains, condensing mirror-like blades. Impressive. Seeing this, Long Yu wasn't afraid at all. Instead, he let out a hearty laugh. His figure suddenly retreated, and 8 beams of light suddenly erupted from the place where he was originally standing. Impressively, it was also a first-grade divine chain, 8 trigrams suppressing the heavens. The 8 pillars of light represented the power of 8 different divine characters. They instantly condensed and suppressed the mirror tribe warrior with great momentum. Similar first-grade divine chains were used, causing the mirror race warrior to be shocked and the spectators to cry out in surprise. When they saw the mirror tribe warrior using first-grade god chains, they thought that this foreign race was very strong and that the human cultivator would definitely be at a disadvantage. They did not expect that Long Yu would also use first-grade god chains. The mirror-like blade in the mirror tribe warrior's hand immediately changed direction. Originally, it wanted to cut Long Yu into pieces, but now it could only deal with the 8 pillars of light of different colors. The 8 pillars of light arrived in an instant, but they were all shattered by the mirror-like blade. Even so, the mirror-like blade of the mirror tribe warrior was shattered by the 8 pillars of light. The first-grade god chains from both sides collided and canceled each other out. Whether it was Long Yu or the mirror clan warriors, neither of them would waste a single moment. The eruption of first-grade god chains from both sides made it clear that the other side would be difficult to deal with. In the next moment, the Mirror Tribe warrior's figure changed. He actually split into two, then two into four. A dense crowd of Mirror Tribe warriors appeared on the arena. In just a moment, there were dozens of them. Each of these clones of the Mirror Tribe warrior had 1/10 of the Mirror Tribe warrior's strength. As soon as they appeared, they directly charged at Long Yu. They moved as fast as lightning, and each of them held a relatively weak mirror-like blade in their hands. Although these mirror-like blades could not shatter the void, they were still very powerful. Emperor-based theurgy, mirror clones. Long Yu could see that the opponent's method was only an Emperor-based theurgy, so he did not pay much attention to it. While the opponent summoned clones to attack him, his attention was focused on the Mirror Tribe warrior. Due to his balanced control of the secret martial arts method, Long Yu could easily sense which of the clones was the real body of the Mirror Tribe warrior. Therefore, he directly used space, splitting kill on the real body. The resonant Duancong sacred spring flowed continuously between Long Yu's hands and formed two light blue space, splitting blades. In the next moment, they appeared in the Mirror Tribe warrior's body. Long Yu didn't know the body structure of the Mirror Tribe warriors, nor did he know where their vitals were. Therefore, after using the space rending strike, he controlled the two space rending blades and started slicing the Mirror Tribe warriors' bodies. The Mirror Race warrior didn't expect Long Yu to have such a method. Moreover, he was actually able to find his true body. He was shocked and instantly erupted with a wave of reflection divine runes. Another first-grade god chain. Long Yu could see that after the sacred reflection exploded, all the abnormal forces near the Mirror Tribe warrior were bounced away from his body, including the two space-splitting blades formed by the Duancong sacred spring. As a result, although the Mirror Tribe warrior had suffered some injuries, they were not fatal. Long Yu tried to cut into the human's heart, but he was unable to hit any vital points. Obviously, the body structure of the Mirror Tribe was very different from that of the human race. At this moment, the dozens of clones formed by the Mirror Tribe warrior flashed to the side of Long Yu. Dozens of mirror-like blades stabbed at Long Yu at the same time. Long Yu had used the space-splitting Holy Spring to attack the Mirror Race's main body, which was equivalent to completely abandoning his own defense. However, each of these Mirror Race's avatars only had 1/10 of the Mirror Race's main body strength, which was equivalent to an ordinary one-star monarch. Long Yu relied on his strong body. A layer of death armor appeared on the surface of his body, and he chose to resist the attacks of these clones. The mirror-like blades came from dozens of directions and directly pierced Long Yu's death armor. After pausing for a moment, the death armor was completely shattered. Then, the mirror-like blade stabbed at Long Yu's body. However, Long Yu's terrifying body, which had been trained in the death realm, blocked all the mirror-like blades. At most, he suffered some flesh wounds. The dozens of clones of the Mirror Tribe warrior wanted to continue attacking Long Yu. However, Long Yu would not be willing to become a human target. Void travel. Long Yu instantly removed the void territory released by the ancient Dragonbone Tower. Then, his figure flashed, and he directly teleported to another place. The Mirror Tribe warrior did not expect Long Yu to suddenly remove the void territory. The colors of the mirrors on his head kept changing. Before he could react, the void nether dragon blade suddenly appeared under his feet. Void burial. Long Yu and Little Void joined forces to perform void burial. A void vortex instantly appeared, causing the space under the Mirror Tribe warrior's feet to collapse, and the Mirror Tribe warrior was sucked into it. If this was all the Mirror Tribe warrior could do, he would definitely not be able to escape. However, it was obvious that the Mirror Tribe warrior would not let Long Yu down. Grade 6 God Array Mirror Break. After using the Grade 1 God Chain twice, the Mirror Tribe warrior indeed used an even more powerful Grade 6 God Array Mirror Break. The reason why Little Void knew the name of the Grade 6 God Array was because Long Yu had released the Void Nether Dragon Blade. Little Void had sensed the Mirror Tribe warrior's thoughts. The Mirror Tribe warrior could not communicate with humans or demons through words. After all, he did not have a mouth. However, he could use his thoughts to communicate with others, just like the Bone Race and the Vestigial Race. When the Grade 6 God Array, Mirror Break, was activated, the space around the Mirror Tribe warrior turned into a mirror-like existence. Then, the mirror completely shattered, and the Mirror Tribe warrior himself was inside. Shattered, Long Yu stared at the Mirror Clan warrior and saw that even the Void Burial Vortex that Little Void had cast was shattered by the Divine Formation, and its power was diverted to another direction. The Mirror Tribe warrior's physical body had been destroyed, but it was only an afterimage. His real body had been moved to a safe place using the power of the divine characters. The appearance of the Divine Formation pushed the situation of the battle to a whole new level. It's a God Array. Unbelievable. It seems that this Mirror Tribe warrior is really powerful. Even an ordinary 4-star Emperor might not be a match for him. Among the demon race, only the nobles can cultivate a God Array. This Mirror Tribe warrior's status is definitely not low. Even the Divine Array has appeared. It seems that the human is really not going to make it. Although we are very surprised, the 2-star Emperor's martial arts realm is still too low. Everyone was discussing. However, Long Yu, who was in the arena, was not affected by the discussions outside. Kill. At this moment, the Mirror Tribe warrior's speed became extremely fast. He used the power of the divine characters to constantly change his position in the arena. Long Yu, on the other hand, was able to easily capture his opponent's position with his balance control. He could even sense where his opponent was going to arrive and predict his opponent's movements. God Array. 9 Abyss. Long Yu finally unleashed his trump card. He aimed at the position where his opponent was about to reach, and then directly unleashed the Divine Array 9 Abyss in that position. 9 pitch-black space cracks continuously extended towards that position. Divine characters were condensing in that position. It was obvious that the Mirror Tribe warrior was going to appear in the next moment. However, to Long Yu's surprise, the Mirror Tribe warrior seemed to be extremely sensitive to danger. When he was about to collide with the God Array 9 Abyss, he abruptly stopped moving and did not teleport to his predetermined position. Instead, the Mirror Tribe warrior once again condensed a mirror-like blade in his hand at lightning speed. He used the first-grade Divine Chain to stab at Long Yu at lightning speed. Even Long Yu could not help but admire the Mirror Tribe warrior's reaction speed at this critical moment. The 9 pitch-black space cracks in the God Array 9 Abyss immediately changed direction and swept towards the Mirror Tribe warrior. However, their speed was much slower than the Mirror Tribe warrior's attack speed. The mirror-like blades sliced through space along the way and descended upon Long Yu with unparalleled destructive power. This speed is too fast. It's almost impossible to react. Fortunately, Long Yu did not even have time to think. Faced with his opponent's attack, he could only subconsciously use the Book of Shadows. Although it was only an Emperor Path theurgy, its effects were already very heaven-defying. Through the Book of Shadows, Long Yu directly transformed into the same power as the mirror-like blade. He merged with the mirror-like blade and instantly disappeared in front of the Mirror Tribe warrior. Of course, the Mirror Tribe warrior did not know what was going on. He watched as Long Yu, who had yet to react, suddenly disappeared under his blade. The various mirrors on his head continuously changed colors. But at this moment, Long Yu did not give him any chance. He directly rushed out of the mirror-like blade and spat out several 9 underworld dragon breaths at close range. At such a close distance, the 9 underworld dragon breaths instantly bombarded the Mirror Tribe warrior. He had no time to defend himself. After several breaths, the Mirror Tribe warrior's body was corroded by the 9 underworld divine characters. His aura became extremely chaotic. Following that, Long Yu used Void Traversal to teleport into the distance. In the next moment, the 9 Abyss Divine Array, which had changed directions, finally arrived at the Mirror Race warrior. 9 pitch-black spatial cracks appeared, directly slicing the body of the mirror race warrior into several parts. The aura of the living creature within finally disappeared. This mirror tribe warrior is very strong. It's a pity that he is only one level higher than me. His methods are still inferior to mine. Looks like I'll have to challenge a 4-star Imperial Monarch next time. Chapter 1089. To the audience's surprise, Long Yu defeated the Mirror Tribe warrior. Moreover, he defeated the alien warrior of the 3-star Emperor with the cultivation of a 2-star Emperor. This kind of battle record was not unheard of in the entire bloody battlefield, but it was also quite rare. After all, it was very difficult to fight against someone of a higher level, not to mention that the opponent was a veteran foreign race warrior. Moreover, the Mirror Tribe warrior had used a 6th-grade divine formation. He was considered a very powerful being among the alien warriors, and his identity was not ordinary. However, in the end, he was killed by the human cultivator called Mountain Ghost. It was not hard to imagine how powerful Mountain Ghost was. The only one who had expected such an outcome was the Prince Blood Demon, who was alone. Seeing Long Yu walking down from the arena, the Prince Blood Demon walked up to him with a smile. "Congratulations, Brother Mountain Ghost. You won this match. You've amazed everyone in the bloody battlefield." The Prince Blood Demon had bet on Long Yu. According to the ratio, he had won more than 200,000 demon coins in this match. Of course, he was in a good mood. Had it not been for the fact that some people had also placed their bets on Long Yu after realizing that something was wrong, the Blood Demon Prince would have won even more. Compared with Long Yu's desperate efforts, the Blood Demon Prince's way of making money was much easier and more enjoyable. Of course, if one wanted to make money in this way, one had to be as discerning as the Prince Blood Demon. At least, the Prince Blood Demon was the only one who could see that Long Yu had extraordinary skills. I have to thank the Prince Blood Demon for reminding me. Otherwise, I would have missed out on the extra reward. Long Yu smiled. Then, he walked down from the arena and approached the steward of the Killer King Demon Clan. The steward of the Killer King Demon Clan initially thought that Long Yu was here to get himself killed. He did not expect that this human cultivator would actually kill the Mirror Tribe warrior. This way, the Kill King Demon Clan steward didn't dare to be negligent. In the bloody battlefield, the strong always won respect. Since Long Yu was able to kill that Mirror Clan warrior, whether he was from the human clan or the demon clan, he had won the steward's respect. This is the basic reward for defeating that mirror race warrior. Because you are one level lower than that mirror race warrior, the reward is 4,000 demon coins. The steward of the Killer King Demon Clan handed over 4,000 demon coins and took out a bottle of elixirs that was placed on the side. Inside the bottle was an Archean upper-grade Yao core. Only Yao cultivators could consume it to raise their cultivation base. The base value was at least 5,000 Yao coins. This is a high archaic level demonic pill, the Quintessence Blood King pill. It was a bonus reward for the Mirror Folk warrior who won 5 battles in a row. Now it belongs to you. The Slaughter King Demon Clan steward said as he handed the Blood Essence Imperial pill to Long Yu. Can I auction it here? I am from the human clan, so this Yao core is useless to me. Long Yu asked the Slaughter King Demon Clan steward. After all, the Slaughter King Demon Clan steward was the owner of this place. Of course you can. The Slaughter King Demon Clan steward smiled and nodded his head. His blood-red eyes were filled with admiration for Long Yu. Anyone who could defeat a foreign race warrior in the bloody battlefield was an expert worthy of respect. Regardless of their current cultivation base, once they grew up, they would be extremely powerful existences. The stronger one's cultivation base was, the higher the probability of them growing up. This was especially true for people like Long Yu, who didn't look strong but was actually very strong. In the beyond heaven's great world, where the strong preyed on the weak, he had a better chance of surviving than many sovereigns in the mysterious realm. After getting the approval of the Slaughter King Demon Clan steward, Long Yu turned to face the crowd of onlookers. He raised the pill bottle in his hand and said, "This is a high archaic level blood essence, imperial pill. It's a high-quality Yao core. If any of the Yao cultivators here would like to auction it, you can start bidding now. As soon as he said that, many of the Yao cultivators started to move. I bid 5,000 demon coins. A Yao cultivator covered in golden stripes raised his hand and shouted out his bid. He didn't give too many chances to bid and immediately bid 5,000 demon coins. Clearly, this guy had a high demand for the Blood Essence Imperial Pill. As a high archaic level Yao core, the Blood Essence Imperial Pill not only contained a lot of heaven and earth spiritual chi, but it also contained some blood essence chi. After consuming it, it could stabilize one's blood essence and improve one's cultivation in a short period of time. For Yao cultivators, the Blood Essence Imperial Pill was definitely a good elixir. For Yao cultivator at the Emperor level, it could save at least 2 months of cultivation time. 5,500 demon coins. On the other side, a Yao cultivator wrapped in a black robe raised his hand and bid. As this was the bloody battlefield, no one dared to cause trouble. Therefore, everything was quite orderly. 6,000 demon coins. As the price continued to rise, Long Yu was in a good mood as he listened to these people's bids. If it weren't for the additional reward of this Blood Essence Imperial Pill, his net profit from killing the Mirror Race Warrior would only be 3,000 demon coins. After all, he had paid a challenge fee of 1,000 demon coins at the beginning. But now, the profit he could get from this battle would be several times more than before. Soon, the price climbed to 8,000 demon coins. To be honest, this price had already surprised Long Yu. It seemed that this Blood Essence Imperial Pill was somewhat scarce on the King Killer planet recently. However, what happened next was something that Long Yu didn't expect at all. Just when all the Yao cultivators were competing fiercely, a faint voice with a hint of evil sounded in the field. 100,000 demon coins. I want this Blood Essence Imperial Pill. 100,000 demon coins. To be honest, the price of this Blood Essence Imperial Pill was at most 10,000 demon coins. He didn't expect that someone would bid 100,000 demon coins for such a Blood Essence Imperial Pill. 100,000 demon coins were definitely enough to buy an endless pill. Using it to buy an Archean level pill now would definitely be a huge loss. And the point was it necessary to pay 100,000 demon coins here? As long as 10,000 demon coins were offered, no one else would be willing to bid. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw the guy who made a lot of money from Long Yu's battle. Prince Blood Demon. Brother Mountain Ghost, you've let me win so much. Take these 100,000 demon coins as a bonus. That Blood Essence Imperial Pill is useless to you. I have some subordinates who can use it well. Prince Blood Demon looked at Long Yu and said with a smile. Long Yu was really taken aback by this guy. His goal in coming to the bloody battlefield was to earn 150,000 demon coins so that he could be teleported to Demon Jade Planet. But now, after fighting in the bloody battlefield, he had earned more than 100,000 demon coins. This speed was beyond Long Yu's imagination. However, this was also thanks to the popularity of the gambling in the bloody battlefield. There were too many rich people, and too many people bet on the Mirror Race Warrior to win with Long Yu. In the end, Prince Blood Demon made a lot of money. There were many rich people present, but most of them were not interested in the Blood Essence Pill. Prince Blood Demon was the only one who would pay such a shocking price to buy the pill. Long Yu had no reason to refuse such a good deal. He and Prince Blood Demon made a deal for the Blood Essence Imperial Pill at the price of 100,000 demon coins. This result made many of the surrounding demonic cultivators very resentful. They finally had a Blood Essence Imperial Pill to sell, but it was ruined by Prince Blood Demon. However, even though they were very dissatisfied with Prince Blood Demon, they did not dare to show the slightest bit of it. After all, Prince Blood Demon's identity was quite noble. Even on the King Killer planet ruled by the King Killer Demon clan, various demonic cultivators did not dare to provoke Prince Blood Demon. Although Prince Blood Demon seemed to be a demonic cultivator at the level of a lower ruler, if an upper ruler or even a great ruler wanted to attack Prince Blood Demon, there would definitely be a great ruler appearing in secret to protect Prince Blood Demon. This guy was an important figure. Of course, Long Yu did not know this. For Long Yu, it did not matter who Prince Blood Demon was. He only knew that this guy was here to give him money. Brother Mountain Ghost, what are your plans next? Do you want to fight a few more rounds? I trust you very much. Prince Blood Demon and Long Yu left the gladiatorial arena. With the generous rewards for winning, they walked around the arena and headed for the next one. I need at least 150,000 demon coins, preferably more than 300,000 demon coins. So of course I have to continue fighting. Long Yu said with a smile, Prince Blood Demon, if you trust me, I will directly choose a higher odds in the next round. How many demon coins do you have on you? You can bet all of them, and we will split the winnings. What do you think? Long Yu felt that he had not reached his limit yet when he fought against the 3-star Emperor Mirror Race Warrior. Even if he were to fight against a 4-star Emperor or even a 5-star Emperor, Long Yu was confident enough to deal with them. Of course, this was a bloody battlefield. The combat ability of a 5-star Emperor Mirror Race Warrior was definitely higher than that of an ordinary 6-star Emperor. It might even reach the level of 7-star Emperor. In other words, it was on par with the 5-star Emperor Mirror Race Warrior that Long Yu had killed before. Although Long Yu could deal with such existences, if he wanted to kill them, he would have to expose too many things. The loss outweighed the gain. Therefore, Long Yu's next target was a 4-star Emperor Mirror Race Warrior. With the cultivation of a 2-star Emperor, challenging a 4-star Emperor Mirror Race Warrior would definitely attract a lot of attention in the bloody battlefield, especially after the previous battle. Most people would believe that Long Yu could kill his opponent. If the Prince Blood Demon still believed in him, he could cooperate and earn a lot of demon coins. Long Yu could easily earn the travel fees he needed, and the Prince Blood Demon could also earn a lot of demon coins. It was a win-win situation. The main thing was whether the Prince Blood Demon was willing to believe in Long Yu or not. The Prince Blood Demon looked at Long Yu carefully and smiled. As long as you don't challenge the ruler's secret realm, I will believe you. 10 million demon coins are ready. When these words came out, Long Yu was dumbfounded. 10 million. Chapter 1090. Long Yu knew that the Prince Blood Demon must be very rich, but he did not expect that the Prince Blood Demon would be willing to bet so much on him defeating his opponent. The Prince Blood Demon had no reason to trust him. Just because of his victory against the Mirror Race Warrior, Long Yu did not know why the Prince Blood Demon trusted him so much, but it was certainly a good thing for him. Of course, according to the rules of the bloody battlefield, even if he did win, the Prince Blood Demon would not be able to get 10 million demon coins. The rule of the bloody battlefield was that only the audience could participate in the bet. If the total amount of people who bet on Long Yu's defeat was only 100,000 demon coins, then let alone 10 million demon coins, even if the Blood Demon Prince bet 100 billion demon coins, he would only get 100,000 demon coins in the end. How many people bet on Long Yu to lose, and how many demon coins they bet on Long Yu to lose, will be the total amount that the Blood Demon Prince would receive. If 10 million demon coins were bet on Long Yu to lose, basically everyone would bet on Long Yu to lose, because if Long Yu really lost, he would share the 10 million demon coins with the others. That one, the 4-star Emperor Warrior of the Abyss clan. Long Yu and the Prince Blood Demon kept walking and soon came to the next arena. The number of people in this arena was at least 10 times more than the number of people in the Mirror Race's arena. In this arena was a warrior of the Abyss clan. He was also a powerful alien clan that had fought against the Demon clan for a long time. This warrior of the Abyss clan had the cultivation of a 4-star sovereign emperor. His main characteristic was that his entire body was made of metal. His physical strength was several times stronger than that of the Demon clan and the Human clan. Abyss clan, are you confident? The Prince Blood Demon's face slightly changed when he saw the opponent that Long Yu chose. Of course, he knew the characteristics of the Abyss clan. This alien was the fearless type on the battlefield. They would rather die than surrender. In the entire bloody battlefield, there was only one warrior of the Abyss clan, and this warrior of the Abyss clan had won 50 battles in a row. He had become a very popular alien in the bloody battlefield, It was not easy to catch the only warrior of the Abyss clan in the bloody battlefield. Every warrior of the Abyss clan was a terrifying battle maniac. It was said that if it weren't for the fact that the Abyssal race was so few in number, the monster race would have already been exterminated by the Abyssal race. The Abyssal race lived in a space abyss. This space abyss had no star river or divine rune sources. The Abyssal race that lived here naturally wanted to leave this space abyss. Therefore, the Abyss clan kept fighting the other races near the spatial abyss, as well as the Demon clan. They wanted to break out and occupy other races' territories. Of course, the Abyss clan had not yet succeeded in occupying other races' territories. However, other races could not enter the spatial abyss, so they could not do anything to the Abyss clan. The spatial abyss where the Abyss clan lives doesn't have heaven and earth spirit chi or the power of divine runes. They mainly rely on their bodies to fight. In addition, their bodies are made of metal, which makes them very difficult to kill. No matter what kind of divine rune attacks, they cannot hurt them. The Prince Blood Demon said to Long Yu seriously, "This kind of opponent is actually easier for me to deal with." When Long Yu heard this, he smiled and said, he was more afraid of opponents with strange methods. If the Abyss clan warrior only relied on his powerful body, it would be very easy for Long Yu to deal with him. I hope so. However, the Abyss clan is not the same as the ordinary Abyss clan. If you want to challenge them, you must carefully watch their previous 50 battles. The Prince Blood Demon reminded. Of course. Long Yu nodded in agreement. The two of them approached the arena and found that there were 3 stewards of the Slayer King Demon tribe. They were in charge of the arena because there were too many spectators. After coming to the arena, Long Yu found that the rules of this Abyss clan warrior were different from other places. Only a 4-star emperor can challenge this Abyss clan warrior. Those stronger than a 4-star emperor are not allowed to challenge him. Seeing this rule, Long Yu felt that this Abyss clan warrior seemed to have a backer. It was strange that he would not encounter an opponent stronger than him. Could it be that the bloody battlefield is purposely protecting this Abyss clan warrior? Long Yu thought to himself. However, looking at the cultivators around the arena and the fervent expression of the Steel Abyss clan warrior, he knew that the bloody battlefield's rule was reasonable. This steel-like Abyss clan warrior had won 50 battles in a row in the bloody battlefield. He had become the symbol of the 4th level of the bloody battlefield. Of course, the bloody battlefield would not allow him to be killed so easily. Moreover, it was very difficult to catch an Abyss clan warrior. If he was killed so easily, there would be no more Abyss clan warriors left in the bloody battlefield. Even if he died, he had to die a worthy death. That was why the bloody battlefield had set this extra rule. Cultivators stronger than a 4-star emperor were not allowed to challenge the Steel Abyss clan warrior. This way, the Abyss clan warrior that they had spent so much effort to catch could bring more value to the bloody battlefield. I, a human cultivator, mountain ghost, challenge an Abyss clan warrior. Long Yu stepped forward and spoke directly to the 2 stewards of the Killer King Demon clan. His words immediately attracted the attention of everyone in the surroundings. Everyone had been paying attention to the Abyss clan warrior in the arena. Now, they were all focused on Long Yu. TCH, I thought it was some strong cultivator. Turns out it's just a human brat who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Really, isn't there no more suspense now? The Slayer King Demon Tribe warrior was killed by the Abyss clan warrior. What can this 2-star emperor human do? Many people were disappointed when they saw Long Yu's cultivation level. To them, they had gathered here to wait for someone to kill the Abyss clan warrior. After all, the Abyss clan warrior had won 50 battles in a row. According to the historical records of the bloody battlefield, it was about time for someone to finish him off. It should be noted that after a foreign race warrior won 50 battles in a row, the bloody battlefield would give out amazing rewards. If they could win, the rewards would be very tempting. Therefore, once a foreign race warrior appeared in the bloody battlefield who won 50 battles in a row, many powerful warriors who were out for training would come to challenge this foreign race warrior. Not only could they train themselves, but they could also obtain special rewards and increase their fame. It was killing 3 birds with 1 stone. In a battle of this level, both sides would use all kinds of trump cards. They would use all of their trump cards. Only by unleashing all of their strength could they possibly defeat their opponent. Watching this kind of battle was definitely a kind of enjoyment for other cultivators, and it was very likely that they could learn something from it. The opportunity to watch such a high-end battle was not always available. This Abyss clan warrior had been in the bloody battlefield for more than 7 days and had fought more than 50 battles. He was already very famous. Naturally, many cultivators had come here to wait. If there was a battle between strong cultivators, they could watch it immediately and learn something from it. When these cultivators saw that the challenger was only a 2-star emperor, they were naturally disappointed. In a battle of this level, a 2-star emperor would probably be killed instantly. What was there to watch? But soon, these people walked out of their disappointment and became extremely excited. This was because the Blood Demon Prince announced that he would bet 10 million demon coins on this Abyss clan warrior, betting that he would win. How could a mere 2-star emperor be a match for a 4-star emperor of the Abyss clan warrior? Many people laughed wildly in their hearts. 10 million demon coins. That was 10 million demon coins. How could it be seen so easily? On the 4th level of the bloody battlefield, a bet of 10 million demon coins was definitely rare. Normally, such a bet would only appear in the higher levels of the ruler's secret realm. But now, in the Battle of the Abyss clan, a bet of 10 million demon coins had appeared. It was shocking. As a result, everyone became excited. Without a doubt, no one thought that Long Yu would win. Of course, no one would bet on Long Yu. Even the cultivators who had come from the Battle of the Mirror Race Warriors, who thought that Long Yu had a chance of winning, were directly dispelled by the Blood Demon Prince's bet of 10 million demon coins. Even if they followed the Blood Demon Prince and bet that Long Yu would win, they wouldn't get much of a bonus after winning. According to the ratio, all the money would be taken by the Blood Demon Prince. Therefore, even if they thought that Long Yu had a slight chance of winning, they wouldn't bet on Long Yu. Very soon, many people surged forward and placed their bets on the Abyss clan expert, betting that the Abyss clan expert would defeat Long Yu. Among all the people, only Prince Blood Demon bet on Long Yu's victory. Not even a second person appeared. This situation was within the Blood Demon Prince's expectations. Who would place a bet of 10 million demon coins here? They would definitely place it on the opposite side. If they won, they would be rich. In a short period of time, more than 200 people placed their bets on the Abyss clan warrior. The total amount of demon coins bet was more than 2 million demon coins. If the bet started and Long Yu lost to the Abyss clan warrior, the cultivators who placed their bets on the Abyss clan warrior would each get 5 times the profit. If they bet 10,000, they would get 50,000 demon coins. If they bet 100,000, they would get 500,000 demon coins. This was a shocking rate of return. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.